And switch. There we go. Sound looks good. Say something, guys, so I know your sound's good.
What the fuck is up, everybody? We're making premature.
I object.
No, all sound looks good. Alrighty. So, the day has risen on the 2nd of Inferno.
Wait, are we ready?
Yeah, we're live.
What the fuck is up, everybody? Okay, please continue.
Alright, so it's the 2nd of Inferno. The day is scheduled for the humans to expect, the entourage from the city to come out and meet their leader. So, you have a chance to make final preparations with whatever you wish to do before your meeting at midday.
Milk Thistle, have you already picked your spells?
Yes.
Okay, I was going to suggest Eagle's Grace might be a good thing to throw on Alexandrite.
Eagle Grace, if you catch me like early the previous nights, like right before midnight, I can make that happen.
Well, could I have caught him before midnight?
I get a feeling that based on your previous nighttime activities, you're probably dragged away by somebody.
Yeah, I would have been at the temple, so where would you be at midnight?
Lightning.
Yeah.
I tell you what, though, if whether or not things go well today, I can definitely have it ready for tomorrow, and I'll cast it on you.
I believe it's one of those spells that only lasts for 10 minutes per level.
Right, so I think they would definitely see me casting something, and I would give away what I am. But if we did it blatantly, but for a specific purpose, they could probably be okay with it.
And you could do it before we walk up to them and then be like, oh, too far away to tell what we're doing.
Alright. So, any plans, or shall I fast forward us to midday? No.
It's going to ask around the... Alright, so he's going to go into the Nightmare Temple. Would he know which of the clerics are like a higher status in rank?
You're currently there at the wrong time of the day for that sort of question. But you have met the highest ranking priest within the temple, as Milkfist has introduced you to him. So you know who's in charge, and you probably have an idea of who's probably the next down. But this is the time of the day that you won't find them.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's not a good idea for me to be waking Midnight Vision, let alone I feel his wrath. So, aside from that, I can't really think of what to do besides maybe going and trekking at the park, seeing if anyone needs any assistance.
Well, most able-bodied people who are fighting are very much in high alert and like patrolling walls, being lookouts. There are some training going around, but it's not something you're going to be as easy just to drop in and out at this point in time.
All right, he'll be doing some meditation out at the park then.
Yeah, that's fine.
Alexander will polish his armor. Get it all presentable and such.
So, what it sounds like is everyone's going to mostly be spending some time centering themselves ready for this meeting at midday.
Yeah.
Okay. I will jump us to, basically midday. There's a button that takes me to midday.
Yeah. Milk will go ahead and cast this on himself so he looks presentable.
Right, so. All right. So, obviously, before midday rolls around, you guys will obviously begin to gather in. You will obviously prepare yourselves, ready to leave. Probably a good 10 minutes, 20 minutes before the actual meeting goes ahead. I do have a question. Who is taking weaponry with them?
They told us to come unarmed?
Yes.
I do not feel okay with that. I mean, I can't obviously hide. The only thing I guess I could hide in under my armor is a short sword, but that's being generous.
That's being really generous.
Lightning is going to hide weapons on.
Who is?
Like,
Lightning is going to hide weapons on.
How many weapons and what are they?
Could she hide her rapier? Is it?
No, that's definitely not something you're going to be hiding on your person.
Alright, then she'll hide your dagger in her. Then she'll hide her dagger.
A dagger is definitely something you should be able to hide.
Does it have the war ring on it?
Ooh, I think you can. Let me just check the War Razor again.
Yeah.
There we go. Actually, the razor actually has a plus. The War Razor has a +2 bonus to trying to conceal as a weapon.
Oh, well, there you go then.
So, if you were going to choose to hide anything, the War Razor would probably be your weapon of choice.
So, would that be a stealth or sleight of hand?
It is a sleight of hand check.
What's a sleight of hand? Okay, that's good.
Yes, it is. It's because it's one of those ones which is not used very often.
So whatever I roll, you want to make it a blind roll?
Yes, because you won't necessarily know how well you've done it. You get a +2 from the weapon itself.
Yep, and type in name is situation.
Yeah.
Okay, here's the question. Do my horseshoes count as a weapon?
Technically not. Your hooves are the weapons.
Alright. Well, I can't do anything about those.
If Bert is going to leave his weapons here at the ship.
You're leaving with the ship. Understood?
I was gonna leave them with any of the guards on the wall.
Yeah. I mean, you could do that. You can leave them with the guards. You can leave them on the ship. You can choose to leave them elsewhere.
Or make it dramatic, like I'm just going to stab my weapon into the ground.
I mean, as long as I know what you are doing with weaponry, if you carry it, that is fine. I just need to know mostly about who's taking it and if you're and if you're trying to hide it. So Lightning is hid something. Obviously Burnt and Alex, you're leaving it behind, which leaves me with Nightshine and Milk Thistle.
They have weapons.
I do, and I think I should just take that dagger inside my bag.
So it's nowhere where it's readied. So you've got it hidden in a bag. It will take you basically the equivalent of almost a full round to almost get it out, basically, because it's in your bag.
Okay.
Well, no, not full round. It's a move action to pull stuff out of your backpack.
It's tucked out.
Yeah. No, that's fine. Where, for example, Lightning, what you've got yours is concealed, where you can quickly draw it. That is the difference. Milk Thistle. I can't.
Milk Thistle always has his dagger with him, but for this instance, he's actually going to leave it behind in the temple. So where our weapon's secured, he'll simply leave his dagger there. The main thing he's going to be prepping is a tea kettle, and he's actually going to bring a full tea set because we don't know how many are going to be sitting down, so he's going to bring 10 cups. And what is a good afternoon tea whenever you need to sit down and discuss something important? You as a British person should have the best answer.
I mean, I don't tend to drink many flavoured teas myself. I'm more just sort of the standard sort of tea. flavour rather than different flavours.
Would an Earl Grey be a good choice?
Isn't Earl Grey really bitter by nature, though?
It is. It's a black tea,
Mm-hmm.
and we're going to be discussing a very bitter topic, so maybe it would be suited.
Yeah, it would be.
All right. Milkfistle will have some Earl Grey with him when he goes out there.
Sounds good. Alrighty. Okay, that's what I'm looking for. Hang on, I just need to grab one thing quickly because I can't remember what something's called.
You know, geez, I'm drinking a green tea right now, so.
Ew. I'm joking. Green tea's up. I usually like it blended. Like Lipton's green tea with peach infusion. That's actually
I think the last time I had tea was when I had a sore throat, so I think it was just regular tea with honey.
Last time, well, I had tea this morning, but I'm drinking whiskey now.
That's not tea.
Pass the whiskey.
So, prepare for a drunk GM.
It's not that much.
It should be.
No.
Here's my question: which brand of whiskey is it?
Oh, I have to go and check.
he doesn't know his whiskey.
Not off the top of my head.
Is it American or European whiskey?
It's a Scotch, basically. So it's Scottish.
Ah,
Okay.
Scotch whiskey. If I remember, single malt. That's as much as I can recall. Where is
Is it
it?
blended or aged?
Ooh. I want to say
Give me
aged.
Okay. Well, then it sounds like you got some decent whiskey then. Are we all going to meet up at the temple before we head out, or should we meet at the gates?
I thought we would meet at the gates.
Okay. In that case, Milkfistle will start making his way to the gates. Bernd, are you at the temple? Since you came there looking for some...
yeah, he's at the temple.
Good roll.
Morning. Oh, we have a long way to go. Deal with this. I'm actually curious as to why they decided to attack our homeland. This is gonna be something else.
Keep a clear head and be cautious when you speak.
Of course.
Oh, I should ask, are you guys bringing Wishful Pen with you?
Probably be a good idea.
Yeah.
I don't know. Our side of the table could be a bit crowded, should we?
If worst comes to worst, I think we would need to protect her. I don't think she should come.
Yeah, I do agree with that.
I mean, she's not helpless, but.
Yeah, no, she's not, but there's a possibility of her ending up becoming a casualty. It's more or less just us trying to protect her and keeping her safe.
I don't think that's likely. For being an invading army, the humans have actually shown to be very considerate of rules of war, you could say, because they haven't just been slashing and burning everything they come across. I think if we bring Wishful Pen along as a scribe, she'll write down everything we say, and then we can bring that back to the counselors.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking of you too, but.
Wishful, what do you want to do?
Oh, more than happy to come along and see what's about to happen.
Just don't die again. Smile.
Her ears fold back a little and she looks a bit, concerned.
Don't worry, my shadow protects you.
Oh, lightning, did something happen? Oh, hang on, I think I did something.
Don't worry, we have steel in the temple, so.
Yeah, look on the bright side. If you make it through this, you take good enough notes, you'll be able to write a book.
Mm-hmm.
Ah, that's the one. Well, hope so. I mean, this could be history in the making, one way or the other.
That is true.
I mean, it might be bad history, it might be good history. We'll see. She says with a little bit of a nervous laugh.
I think we're all a little bit nervous about this in one way or another.
Does Wishful Pen have Eagle's Grace?
Let me check what her normal list of spells is. Oh no, she's under an ally.
Also, Fern, why do you have so many ninjas on you?
That's just the deals I've been keeping track of.
Why?
Did you import from Hero Labs? Did you import your character from Hero Labs?
I think I did, yeah.
So it's that.
Yeah.
Let me have a look. What were you asking? She's got ball strength, but not any of the other ones will increase your stats.
Okay. Just want to make sure, because...
Yeah, she's mostly got like supporting spells. Ones will hopefully help during combat, or are ones which will be healing based stuff which will help during combat, like remove blindness or deafness and remove paralyzation. So she's a highly supporting caster.
Alright.
Wishful?
She looks to you.
Did you manage to ask Endless Legend about the meeting I asked you?
Well, not yet. No, things have been a bit hectic since after the celebration.
I guess we are going to need to wait until this is all over, is it?
Maybe. Well, I suppose it depends what happens.
I suppose.
But I mean, if we make it back, I can see about talking to him sooner.
That would be appreciated. Hope.
I think we will make it back. I mean, they're not going to kill us first time around.
Why not?
I mean, if they want to negotiate, there's... What's the point of negotiating with someone that you're going to kill anyway?
Maybe they just want to cut off our heads as an example to make the rest surrender easier. I think that's what they did back in the other town.
Well, either way, there's at least... I'm at least trying to be somewhat positive about this. Somewhat hopeful. Can't really tell. So we just have to wait and see what happens.
That is the plan. I'm gonna book Lighting. Yeah. If you introduce yourself to them as the Empress, they might attack us, so double think if you were considering to do that.
Did you really think I was planning to announce my ascension to the throne just like that? In front of a bunch of humans?
Well, not like that, but I thought you remain enough yourself as the one who decides what goes. So I thought I should say it.
I know how to have restraint.
Okay.
All right. As you guys are approaching the front gate, ready to leave, one of the military individuals that came from St. Moon's Reach sort of gives you a quick rundown on what's been happening. He says that a more sizable military force has shown up. There does there's numerous sort of banners and stuff flying, and they have advanced forward and set up a single tent, roughly. Roughly 1,500 feet away. It does appear there is a number of individuals sort of moving around the area, and they have noticed further back a small detachment of a military forming up. They estimate if they did move to engage, you'll probably have, depending on the speed they move, probably a minute to 2 minutes before they were on top of you. But they would be on foot.
Thank you.
Yeah, Bird sort of, he looks to the soldier that relayed this information, and he goes, well, I was hoping that they would be, unarmed as well. So, we'll have to...
Well, the forces that have formed up are further away than we are, so...
Fair enough.
So you will be able to make it, you should be able to make it back into the walls should anything happen. We will have... I have ordered, should anything fishy go on, we will fire one of the cannons as a warning, as a sign for you to get out.
Alright, thank you for your assistance.
If they are foolish enough to attack us as messengers, then we'll simply have to start this fight off early.
Yep.
Speaking of humans, is Switch Gadget on alert?
Not that you're aware of.
I mean, I went there to drop my weapons off. Did I see her at all?
Not that you can recall. The
Yeah.
ship has got the pirate crew you hired. They seem to be sort of like, doing sort of general sort of routine checks and stuff like that. But the ship doesn't seem to be like it's ready to spring into action when you were there.
Yeah, he relays this information and he goes, well, at least they're doing routine checks, so that's something.
The first officer is competent. He'll have the ship ready when it's needed. Doesn't get it at the time being.
Yeah, our ship is hidden weapons, so we don't want to use it the first sign of danger.
Where's Ender?
She's here. Oh, you mean the token?
I don't see her. Or Nightshine. Where is Nightshine?
I'm at the gates.
Are you invisible?
I shouldn't be.
Let me have a look.
Yeah, I'm not.
Oh,
I
there's
see
one.
lightning. But I don't see Nightshine.
Ooh, everyone blue. Yeah, you're not with us, Nightshine. Don't know where you are.
Oh, you're right.
You guys into the wrong gate.
I'm pretty sure you got the wrong gate.
You got the wrong gate.
Oh, Nightshine. I'm asking you to join us.
I wasn't the right gate like you the rest of you.
No, everybody say Nightshine.
He stands there for a bit, going, "Where is everybody? Oh, bugger! I'm at the wrong gate." Comes charging up the. No. All right. But that's all what the sergeant can give you as a rundown in regards to activities. They also do mention that. No, hold on. No, I don't think there's anything else they can mention. I think I said everything. He will wish you luck then, and will give the order for the gate to be opened.
Still, someone says that the stream is echoing.
Ooh.
That goes from a specific person, but I haven't responded yet.
I will adjust people's volumes.
And just before leaving, gonna cast spells.
Yes, if you are casting spells, please cast them now and indicate what you're casting.
What are you casting, Nightshine?
Mage armor, false life.
Cool.
Head rolls.
Okay. You false life twice.
One is for Mr. Weasel.
Oh, okay, that's fine. Because I was about to say temporary hit points won't stack. That's fine. Night Shine, not Night Shine, sorry, Milk Thistle, I saw you did drink from deep from whatchamacall as well. Did you roll your d20?
I haven't. I kind of did that prematurely, but I'll go ahead and follow through with it.
No, if you didn't want to cast it, that's fine.
I changed my mind. I do want to cast it.
Alright.
Ooh, it was off.
Ooh, that's nice.
You can... Oh, no, you don't ask a question, do you?
No, I don't. I've been doing that as kind of a roleplay aspect because I wanted to know something specific, but the spell just says something useful. For the next 4 hours.
Something useful. Ooh.
Hey, Martha, you can chew.
Sit up straight. Look them in the eye.
I think this is I think this is a very nightmare thing to give you as an answer. Oh no, spell this right. Seems very trivial, but is it enough? No, that's right. Obscure but useful. I feel that's obscure but useful. But I don't know if that's a bit obvious though. But we will see. Okay.
Very well.
Let's give. Let me just quickly adjust everybody again. Put you down lower. Alright, we'll see if that works. Alright, so you guys begin down the road. As you start getting closer to the tent itself it's not small, it's more of a, I want to say a marquee, but I don't think that's the right word. It's definitely more a large sort of round tent. It can definitely hold a good number of people in there. You're not going to be sort of like really knocking elbows with your numbers. If they have the similar sort of numbers, then you should be okay. But what you do notice, roughly about 50 feet away from the entrance, is a single human standing there who is a guard. Well, he's wearing sort of that sort of type of uniform. He's sort of full sort of combat dress, armor and stuff. He has a shield, but he does not appear to be He does not appear to have a weapon. As you approach, he does step into the path, and then he does say to you, any weapons that you have brought forth is to be placed in the chest. If you have a bodyguard who does not wish to disarm, he can remain here with your weapons.
And is this directly outside the tent?
It's about 50 feet away from there. So you would have to travel a bit of a distance away from the tent to retrieve weaponry. But not impossible.
We have not brought any weapons with us as per our agreement. I trust the humans will be doing the same.
He doesn't answer your question, he just simply says, and then you can continue forward.
Gonna roll sense motive. Go ahead, Mention.
How long was the walk between here and the gate?
Let me see how long it would take you to walk that far. Okay, so divide that by that number. That's how many rounds it would take you. So 50 rounds at just like general sort of walking pace. What, that's 5 minutes? 1,500 feet comes out to about 5 minutes. That's just you walking at 30, I assume 30 feet basically. I think that's the slowest member you've got, which is your gem pony.
I know I'm fast.
Lord Weasel, is that already inside Night Chance bag?
No, that's fine. Some people going to do stuff.
Oh yeah, I'm going to cast detect magic, or not detect magic, detect evil on everyone that I can run across.
All right, so you spot. So you eye up this individual, as it's a supernatural ability, so you don't give off any outward signs that you're doing it. So you eye up this individual. You don't sense any evil from them.
Right. Bird is getting sense motive on this guy.
Yep, that's fine.
Ooh.
Was meant to be blind, but it's fine.
Oh shit! Sorry.
You looking over him, you don't really sense much in regards to things. It seems that he's just basically just stated facts at you. This is probably he's probably been given very direct orders and doesn't really know much more than what he's been told, because he doesn't seem to sort of be giving you any indications that none of the obvious signs that you would detect that he's lying or concealing something. But it is difficult to make out given he is wearing a helmet, but you can see his face.
Yeah, this guy's probably so lucky.
He seems on the level, for the most part.
But if none of you, if you guys, he will step off the road and basically allow you to continue on.
Alright.
Alright.
Alexander will take the lead.
Bird will be right behind Alexander, right?
Milkthistle will take up the rear, and he'll keep scanning left to right to see who's coming and what's going to be inside.
So from your position, you don't really see too much. You can see in the distance, obviously, the human forces and what have you, but they're a bit of a distance away. The only thing close, which is the sort of the small force which is gathering up. It doesn't look too many individuals, but again, they're a fair distance back. It will take them time if they came full running at you.
Is there a small band approaching to?
Not that you can see.
Speakers?
You don't see anyone who's currently approaching.
Huh. What time is it?
It's probably a few minutes before midday.
Okay, so they have a few minutes to get here.
Or they could be already in the tent. They're in the tent, but...
Milkthistle will take this opportunity to set up his tea set and begin brewing tea. Like, Ember, why don't you take a look around and see if you can find anything out of the ordinary in here? And I am met with silence.
I think, remember you're muted, Ember.
What's up?
Milkthistle suggested that you have a look around the tent to see if anything is out of the ordinary while he's setting up the tea set.
You want to roll perception?
Are you going to start walking around the tent.
Yeah, she's gonna like walk around with about.
What are the rest of you doing? Standing outside?
Hmm.
Alexander was just gonna head into the tent.
Yeah, Bird was gonna go in and make sure that the area was clear, and he's gonna look to Alexandra and say, "I think that it would be safe for Lightning to be in between the both of us. That way, in case something were to go wrong, we're right there beside her to keep her safe."
Excuse me.
Yes.
The best place for me would be in the front, so I could sneak around.
This is
She
true.
does know you're there.
Yeah.
It's realized my entire finger thing is frozen.
Also, lightning does not help us. So.
Yeah, true.
This is also true.
So, what do you think, Alexandrite?
Well, lightning can sit wherever she wants.
True.
She is capable enough to escape even without us.
Yeah, you make a point. My apologies. It's just been a rough few days.
I understand, my friend.
It's silly.
I'm going inside the tent.
All right. As you actually go into there, you actually almost bump into somebody, as it looks like somebody was almost about to walk out of your side, and they actually quickly back off. As your eyes sort of suddenly adjust, you can see sort of a younger-looking human male who is wearing sort of nice but sort of simple clothing. But as your eyes sort of quickly focus, you then make out sort of a table in the middle with a number of benches and an individual who's wearing quite highly decorated armour, as well as two other people who are wearing robes type stuff, stood just behind him.
Is any of these three people wearing a holy symbol?
Not that you notice straight away.
Okay.
The human who just you almost bumped into goes, would you like me to show you to your seats?
Yes, please.
He basically sort of, it's not a far walk, but he shows you the benches in front of you basically, and once he sort of, but he more holds the tent open to allow you all to enter in.
Yeah. Alexander will once again cast Detect Evil and walk in.
You are not
Bird will.
You are not detecting
Sorry.
any evil on the four individuals you are seeing here.
Okay.
Alright, so it means that they're at least not going to be betraying us right off the bat.
Or they have some sort of alignment conceal is also possible.
Yeah.
So just want to indicate all the possibilities, because your characters would be aware of that stuff.
Yeah, Bird is going to give a respectful bow as he enters.
Cool. So everybody's going in. That's the main thing I just wanted to check. Lightning, you rolled me a perception. What were you perception in?
That was to check if anything was up, because you asked me if I was doing that.
Oh, if you were going to,
Yeah.
you were just having a sort of a look around. That's fine. You probably, the moment before Nightshine walked in, you probably would have just about picked up. There might have been something on the other side of the tent, but but literally Nightshine walked in at that moment. So you guys are shown to your seats. The individual who sat on the opposite side, who's wearing basically a military outfit, but with their clear military armor, which is definitely well crafted, It's practical, but it's clearly got embellishments on it to quite a finite degree. So it's well made and well crafted armor he is wearing, and it's most likely been crafted for him personally rather than for anybody else.
Okay, important question. Whose armor is it more fancy, Alexandroid's or his?
His.
Oh.
Ooh.
Mm.
Now that's
Milk
bad.
Thistle won't sit down right away, but he will just smile and he'll begin setting up the tea.
Fighting is looking uncharacteristically happy about this picture.
The individual who's obviously sat down and goes, I'm afraid you'll have to deal with the benches we have, as we don't carry seating suitable for your kind.
Quite alright.
Understandable.
If you wish to stand, we can have them removed.
We will take a seat.
So, sitting down on these chairs, they're not wide enough for you, basically, as even for benches for, obviously, in your... If you sat on a bench normally, they would be wider to accommodate your different stature. So it is definitely more awkward to sit on it, but you can sit on it. But
Big horse butts they're hanging over.
yeah, well, if it's a bench, I would kind of expect you guys probably more sit lengthways across them rather than just putting your butt on it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll stand, thanks.
Maybe probably be easier.
Yeah. It definitely creaks a bit when Alexandrite sits on it, and it sinks a little into the ground.
You know, I'll just stand.
Yeah. I'm just gonna stand.
Well, that's more indication of just your gem poniness, and you weigh like double everybody else.
Like, I'll lightly kick them both.
He looks curiously at you setting up your tea set, and he does say, refreshments will be provided if you do require it.
I do require it, and that's why I'm providing it.
Oh, this is so embarrassing.
Milk Thistle just has his trademark smile, relaxed expression on his face. He continues about his work.
Give
He still gives a gesture to the young lad who's sort of standing off the side, and the sort of young lad disappears into a section which is sort of a little bit hidden, but it's not very big. And roughly about the time that Milk Thistle finishes setting up the tea sets, the lad will come back with what looks like a bottle and a number of goblets, and he just places them at the end of the table at this point in time.
How many people do we have sitting at our table? There's the five of us, plus the guy in the fancy armor, and who else is sitting with us?
I think 3 other.
The other 2 are kind of standing behind him, not actually sat down at the table.
Okay. While the tea is boiling, Milk Thistle will take the cups and saucers over to the closest one of the robed individuals in the back, and then he'll ask, "Would you prestidigitate this for us, just to make sure it's clean?"
Are you talking to me?
No, I'm talking to the 2 robed figures standing behind the guy in the fancy armor.
Okay.
You're assuming they're mages.
He gives
Yeah,
he gives you a sneer, and he goes, you know full well that won't remove poison.
I apologize for that behavior. I really do. I don't know why he's being like this.
The the person in the fancy armour, Milk Thistle, sort of turns to look, because you have to walk around the table and over to him, and goes, I wouldn't worry about them. Should they be required for this negotiation, they will sit down. They are merely here to observe things at this moment. And unlikely to drink anything you put in front of them.
If they so wish. Milthistle returns, and once the tea is brought up to a boil, he'll have the tea bags and just stand next to the table, kind of catty-cornered to Burned.
Oh, goodness me.
The general of what you would assume would be the general of the army, who's been watching this sort of, you guys sitting down, you preparing the tea, that obviously your interaction with the person behind you. He simply goes, "Is this a tradition that must be observed, or is this politeness?"
More of a quirk of our friend.
Yeah.
I consider it a tradition that should be embraced, but unfortunately it's just politeness at the moment. If you need to push forward, that's fine. I'll serve the tea when it's ready.
He gives a nod and looks at the rest of you and goes, "So, who here speaks for your city or on behalf of your city?"
That would be me.
Oh, lightning. You weren't here last session, but I think we agreed that Alexandria was going to speak.
Yeah, so, you weren't here, Lightning. So basically what I said is we're going to have one person to represent the group who basically will be making rolls on diplomacy if there are roles needed, but everybody can speak, and that's kind of representing you guys sort of either having a quick hush discussion or just offering little whispers into somebody's ear, so that way you all can take part, and anybody who adds anything to the conversation, be it just a few sort of extra snippets and stuff, you can add or potentially add an assist, or an aid, another bonus to the person making the original rolls. I think they kind of decided Alexandroi as the face, as I think he had the highest diplomacy, but you can all speak, and it's kind of, it's basically simulated through Alexandrite, but it gives you a chance to all speak to the general. But any dice rolling will be done by Alexandrite, in theory. But you can, so you can say you speak on the behalf of, but you will still make the rolls Alexandrite type of thing.
Yeah.
Just wanted to make that clear. Anyway, carry on. As he basically asks who is acting on behalf of the city or is in charge of the city.
I am acting on behalf of the city. My name is Alexander Beacon. It's a pleasure to meet you.
Well, I'm sure the pleasantries will soon pass swiftly, but it is a pleasure. You received...
Yes, so...
Well, you received the terms, and which one do you wish to discuss?
Alright. Quick out of character, I know we're not going to accept the terms, but what were the terms again?
Basically, to either speak about basically terms of surrender or the terms of war. That's basically what the invitation indicated.
Alright.
So, in character, Milthistle will speak behind Alexandrite so that way he can hear him, but his mouth is blocked, and he'll give them quick reminders. We're here to discuss the terms of war because we have no intent to surrender. Remind them that we need to protect the civilians and show mercy to any soldier who surrenders. We're here to fight them.
Lightning will also do the same.
Yeah.
Try and get them onto a different topic while discussing, by the way, specifically about a certain demon trying to destroy everything.
Okay, Alexandrite will basically say yes, we will have to talk about terms of engagement. Though being representatives, we will have to bring the messages to our leaders. So it might take a while before we can actually give our answers.
I see. So they do not even wish to enter a dialogue to potentially avoid any sort of bloodshed.
That is not what he is saying. What we're merely saying is that the ultimate decision will be placed with the counselors. We're here as their messengers. We unfortunately regret to inform you that we will not be offering our surrender. We do intend to protect our homeland. So we're here to negotiate the terms of war.
Pity.
I was a little unsure of this.
Well, sadly, the decision was made last week, so nothing we can really do about it.
I wish I was here last week.
Well,
Absolutely.
he means last
Yeah.
week in regards to the actual city themselves.
Yeah.
It's like, with your meetings with them, they were clear that they're not going to surrender. I think it was a few days ago rather than last week, but I get what you mean, like Burnt. Then we will open discussions of terms of engagement, but I was hoping that I would find people with open minds. But as you are not the necessary those who make the full decisions, then I will at least encourage you to take more information back in regards to their choices of surrender.
Well, why are you here?
To do one or the other. Either negotiate a terms of surrender or to conquer, depending which one is required.
My choice can step forward. Well, why is your army here?
Because I was given the honour of leading it.
Well, what is the point of you coming to our land, invading it, and destroying our people?
We do not plan to destroy you. At least, I do not wish to destroy you, given the choice. If you accept the surrender, then the terms will be that you are allowed to continue governing yourselves, or what's left of your nation, country, or whatever you saw it as. But whoever you choose to put into charge will have to report directly to the king, and there will be a administrator who will be placed within your city to oversee that your transition to our growing empire is done in a manner that is both acceptable to both of us, rather than trying to force you into things would be the more preferable route.
I think you missed my question. I didn't ask what you intend to do with us. I asked what made you come here to our lands.
You have land, and we are expanding. It is the same old thing of you are a fallen, beaten, scattered nation, and instead of letting the wolves pick you apart, we plan to absorb you into a larger community.
That may not be the case for much longer. And I'm not meaning that in a threatening way.
So you bring your armies here to show us mercy.
The armies are here to indicate that we are serious about our expansion. And we are happy to do it by force, as well as with words, if possible.
May I ask a question?
This is why we're here.
Well, what happened to Caddison then?
Caddison? It was...
Did-
that was... they surrendered their kingdom to... Well, the king there surrendered, and our armies, obviously, it's begun the process. There was an administrator left behind to oversee things. So as far as I'm aware, they are hopefully undergoing the process of changing things so that they will be in line with our way of doing things.
Is your way of doing things treating us as wild horses? Because I have seen our own people being treated as livestock, essentially.
Well, you're clearly not wild horses, given that we are able to hold a conversation. I mean, there may be those of a certain disposition of in regards to how they think Fae are, as some of your kind are questionable, but you lot at least appear to be civilized.
And they've been treating our kind as beasts of burden, from what I've observed.
Oh, did I just lose internet?
No.
No, okay.
No.
I hear you.
Yeah.
I can still hear you.
Oh no, that's fine. I just suddenly thought I might have lost internet for some reason.
Oh.
Anyway, he sort of gives a frown and goes, "I'm afraid I don't have any recent reports from the city, but last I know, they accepted Absorbion into the kingdom, and the long process of that would have begun."
Well, clearly, there's people in your ministry that do not give you the full reports. You might wish to look into this.
Well, I will look into it once this meeting is over.
Also, if I may get permission to speak, how can we be so sure that we could trust you, and that you would treat all of us, all of our kin, like proper citizens?
Well, as a sign or show of good faith, I will release the prisoners that we have gathered so far. Some of them appear to be mere farmers who were caught out here when my forces arrived. Others are possible spies that were sent to gather information.
How many do you have?
I do not have the full total of spies. I don't have the full total of farmers, sorry, but the spies that captured were 4. I'm afraid one was killed in the attempt to escape troops, but I'm sure you understand there is obviously dangers to spying on a military force.
Of course.
And but their body can be returned.
We'll take them back with us. Will you bring them to us now? As a sign of good faith, of course.
I can. He gives he sort of obviously gives a gesture to one of the individuals behind, and he steps out of the tent, at least for the moment. So, those were at least the intent in regards to the more peaceful route. So you will still have a ruling leader over your kingdom, and if your kingdoms have fallen apart as much as our information has indicated, then we are more than willing to help bring it back into back to heel under the new banner.
Exactly who is this king that you wish us to bow down to?
Well, I'm sure his family line probably means very little to you, but I'm actually just going to quickly grab his name.
Going to get my roll ready.
That's fine. I don't think I've given any of you his name yet, have I?
No, this is the first time I've heard of him.
Yeah, we haven't had a chance to learn it because the information hasn't been available.
This is true. I've got a name here, but I have a feeling this is the person you're speaking to.
This is the Iroh, and he's the Phoenix Blue.
No, not quite that. Okay. He will say King Lawrence II.
Alright, roll in nobility.
Hidden, because obviously it's information gathering.
Yeah.
So, your knowledge of humans' nobility is like very sparse. You do know that they may have had some sort of like tribal thing in the past, and obviously would have important individuals, but that particular name doesn't ring any particular bells with anything. It's at least not travelled to your ears. Or
Yes.
anything you've read.
Yes, I'm afraid that name does not travel far outside of your kingdom.
I'm not too surprised.
GM, has enough time passed for the tea to be ready?
Yes, it has been.
Alright. Milk Thistle will readjust the saucers to make sure they're in front of everyone, and then he will pour a glass of tea for every single person. And
Alexander will drink the tea to show it's not poison.
He calls over the servant and gestures for him to try the tea. And he does look to you and go, I will apologise, but as I'm quite sure you're aware, you could have quite easily have taken any antidote before starting here. So, and I would be foolish not to take proper precautions. And his servant does pick up the tea, take a mouthful, places it down, and basically just sort of stands nearby, but doesn't sort of say anything.
And drops dead.
Well, no, this is where he waits to see how long. It gives it a few minutes to see if he does kill over, because poisons don't always act instantaneously sometimes.
It's really hard to see that it's a better poison in the middle of the meeting.
You'll be surprised on what some people might try.
Berg's gonna take a sip of his tea, and he looks to the representative of the humans. Just
While we wait, I would like to say I may have something to discuss after this meeting.
After seems an odd thing to to want to discuss more things after a meeting has occurred.
After the meeting officially ends, that is.
I see.
do you mean something off the record?
Yes.
Once the meeting is concluded, if you give me what it is, I will see if it can be done off the record. But it is unlikely. Those that you see here will likely remain.
That's fine.
Are you the general of the army? You never introduced yourself.
I'm going to keep that information at this point in time fluid, but you can make the assumptions that you wish.
You're clearly an officer from the finery of your armor.
That is correct, but I will not confirm at this point that if I am him or one of his subordinates. Just that I have the authority to oversee that anything discussed here will be implemented.
Lil Thistle's going to roll Sense Motive to see if there's any signs or any tells that would show he is who I assume he is. That was going to be blind.
Yeah.
This does have to be blind here, this one.
Burn is going to do the same thing.
Yep, that's fine.
Take two.
Oh, no, that's the his blind one. So, you get the sense that he is trying to... let me just take the numbers again. Oh, somebody else is rolling. Okay, so the other two, you're finding it... this is Alexandrite and Burnt. You two try and get a read on him, but you're finding it quite difficult in regards to... Because he's definitely got a good poker face. Milk Thistle... the way he's wording things definitely makes it stands out to you. He's basically doing his utmost to basically clearly remain truthful but not give you the truth. So it's one of those ones where you can probably assume what you've probably already assumed, but he's obviously not outright confirmed it at this point. But he doesn't. He's not lied about anything he's said in that statement, as far as you can tell.
And the two behind him are clearly his handlers. If they're not his handlers, they must report directly to the king.
One of them's currently stood there, as one of them has left.
The one that remained, is he wearing any signifiers or finery that would identify him?
He's definitely wearing. He's definitely wearing very highly decorative robes. Will definitely put him sort of in as a nobleman, scholar. Definitely sort of wearing various things what would probably put him into the inner court of a king sort of thing, possibly as an advisor or stuff like that. I mean, that's probably the most you can assume based on what he's wearing.
Okay. Milk Thistle will sit down at the head of the bench. He's just going to sit straight down to the floor. And I imagine the top of the table is close to his head, so he's not being covered by it.
Yeah, if you're sitting directly on the floor.
So Milk Thistle will close his eyes, smell his tea, and then take a sip. And he'll say, "Well, officer, if you're not the general, you're clearly not the most important person here, just like we aren't. So why don't we make an arrangement? Why don't you come back with us, with an honor guard, and we'll escort you to the council chambers where you can speak to our counselors."
A honest discussion. An honest offer, but I will decline at this moment. Should we enter into a more open and frank discussion of a more mutual beneficial outcome, then that would be appreciated. But as it seems that we are leading more to a terms of war, I will say we will keep this neutral ground for the time being.
Officer, I do believe being polite is important, but the truth is far more important. The truth is, you have brought an entire army here, and we know there are more on their way. We are on edge, and we don't believe that we can arrange any kind of peaceful outcome with the situation that you have brought to our doorstep. However, if you approach our counselors with respect and with this proposition of absorbing us into your empire, it might just be to our benefit and they would be willing to hear you out. But they would need to do so in their safest terms. We have not brought an army here with us, as you can see. We simply have what we were able to gather up to defend ourselves because we didn't know what your intents were. Bring your honor guard if it makes you feel more protected, and I will escort you to the council chambers myself. Or perhaps you're not willing to answer that right away and you should speak to your handler behind you. And he takes another sip of his tea.
He glances behind. I will take that in thought at this moment, but I will not answer it at this moment. At this point in time, the person who stepped out will return back, and now my brain is trying to remember why he disappeared in the first place. It was for a reason.
He was releasing prisoners.
Yes, that was it.
No, he was getting the dead. Was it the body?
No, it was the body. It was the body and prisoners.
There
Yeah.
was one dead spy and 4 others that managed to live, plus whatever farmers were out here.
Yeah.
So more prisoners than dead bodies.
He steps forward and whispers in the guy's ear, and he goes, "The prisoners are on their way back to your city."
May I roll perception to see if I can hear what he whispered?
You can.
Yeah, he's gonna do that as well.
So, being in such a sort of close proximity, I think only I think I've got to check whispers now because there is a set DC for this. Hearing details of whispered conversation. Okay, yeah. So, Milk Thistle, you basically hear the whisper of they've been released.
Okay.
And he says to you, by sure, if you step out the front of step out the entrance you walked through, you should be able to see them on their way back.
Milk Thistle takes another sip of his tea and then makes eye contact with him. May I use your door?
There is I have no issues with that.
He puts his teacup down and walks to the door, opens up the flap. I guess it's like a tent flap.
Yeah.
And he looks out.
The only thing you can see here is the sort of army, which, again, the small force that was gathered up in the distance. You can also, just off to the sort of left, sort of heading down towards the city, you can catch like the sort of trail of what looks like individuals walking down. It looks like more like ponies rather than people. From this distance, I mean, you're not 100% sure if it's fey ponies or just ponies. That'll be the only downside here.
Okay, well, even so, we'll find out as soon as we return back to the city if he did in fact release prisoners, so we can hold him to that tomorrow.
Yeah.
Right. Milk Thistle returns back inside, sits down, and gives a nod to Alexandra and Byrne.
Byrne gives a nod back.
Now, assuming that we cannot come to a peaceful agreement, we should go over the rules of engagement.
Certainly. And do you have any requests?
Yes. And I'll go over the rules that we went over before that I completely forgot. I know we're allowed to try to get our soldiers after battles, like...
So, if anyone here can remember, then feel free to step in.
Yes. We're to ask that every single soldier who surrenders be treated with mercy, and that civilians are to not be targeted under any circumstances. We have a responsibility to not use them as shields, or we're not going to try to hide our soldiers behind them to prevent the enemy from firing at us. But if the civilians are overran, like they invade from a different part of the city, they're not to harm the civilians.
These seem reasonable. Obviously, bear in mind, if the civilians should be too close to the outer walls when a siege engages, that they may be caught in crossfire from siege weapons.
Of course.
we obviously plan to use more direct targets rather than targeting the populace, but stray rocks can travel a distance.
And there's to be no biological warfare of any kind. So none of this allowing your enemies to become bloated pockets of disease and then throwing them over the walls.
Understood. Anything else?
This is something that I've just thought of, so we'll have to, of course, talk to our council, but what are your thoughts on a champion versus champion? Save as much bloodshed as possible. Or prevent as much bloodshed as possible.
As honourable as that will be, I don't think if the outcome was unfavourable to our side, I would. It would appease the king.
So what you're saying is that a fair fight between champions is out of question.
I believe at this point it would. If we win, I mean, obviously, he takes a deep breath. Let me start again. I don't believe that a losing outcome for us would stand, and it would more likely harm any future relations.
Fair enough.
Sort of just he takes a deep breath and just exhales. He has clear his mind. He's not liking this, but he just keeps the smile on his face and grins and bears it.
What was out of character? What was the name of their king? King Louis?
King Lawrence.
Lawrence.
The third.
The second.
Second?
Yeah. He does say to you, okay, in regards to obviously not targeting civilians, while war is engaged, our base camp is not attacked, as we do have our own civilians with us, as any military force of this size requires, and they are not to be targeted when military engagements are ongoing then. If you do not wish us to target your civilians, then ours should also receive the same courtesy.
Of course.
Well, there is a difference between civilians and civilians at a military camp. Our civilians are living within their homes, and you have brought this war machine to us. Your civilians are acting within the military camp itself. If they're not to be targeted, they should be removed.
They won't be taking part in any active fighting. They are not necessary soldiers, or at least not active not part of the active fighting force.
As long as they are unarmed, we will not attack them. How about that?
Yes, anyone who is unarmed and surrenders will not be harmed. That is our word.
Then I can extend that same courtesy to your civilians when the troops enter the city. As long as they're unarmed and do not brandish weapons, they will be left to either surrender or retreat to somewhere for safety.
Very well.
Obviously, for your soldiers, they are, if they surrender, then they are to, as long as they remain prisoners and do not attempt any behind the lines activities, they will remain prisoners. The moment they attempt to do anything else, they cease to be prisoners and become a threat, and they cannot become a prisoner a second time. I will only allow that courtesy once, and if they choose to not comply, then it is an active war zone, and my soldiers will do what is necessary.
As will ours.
That is fine, as long as the same courtesy is placed upon my own soldiers.
I will also ask that not the church remain unmolested. No ransacking or looting towards any holy objects.
Which one is your church?
We have multiple religious sites, the largest of which is the All Seasons Temple toward the center of town. There is also a Princess Luminance library, which is to remain untouched. Much of our history and knowledge is kept there. It is not to be ransacked or burned.
Are you planning to mark these the front of these buildings with anything to indicate help them stand out?
We will raise ribbons above the top of them so they can be seen even from your siege weapons.
Be sure to place them on the doors and entrances. Though if you attempt to use them as a staging point or a military stronghold or fortification, then they will forfeit their protection.
Of course, the religious side is a military side if it's used for that.
Then I recommend, should we reach that site, that you surrender before any permanent damage is done to your holy building.
Also, if there is a pause between battles, that each side should be allowed to collect their dead and wounded.
This is acceptable. In regards to the he goes, in regards to the biological warfare, this should extend also to any magical influences that can be utilised as well.
No, unacceptable.
Then I will have to disagree to the not the use of standard biological potential warfare then, as there is plenty of magical plagues that can be released.
There certainly are, but that is merely pertaining to the plagues themselves, whether magical or natural.
And
We cannot agree to not use magical weapons at all.
Oh no, this is in regards to the aspect of things that can be considered a biological aspect. So a plague that is summoned through magical means should also be banned, as well as natural plagues.
Yeah, just saying, like, don't drop a like magic plague on them or anything like that.
Very well, that is agreeable.
Don't drop a money rock bomb on them.
I believe somebody else was about to say something.
Yeah, but it was I was about to say something, but with right out of my head, so.
Yeah.
I know that feeling. I think I've been having that as well. Like, oh yeah, I have something. Then it's like, nope.
Milk Thistle will pour himself another cup of tea and then look at the general's cup. Is it empty or has it touched you?
Oh yeah, sorry. He would have once the servant hasn't clearly died. He will take a drink from the tea. He will probably pick up the cup a little bit oddly, because obviously these cups are more designed for ponies to drink out of rather than humans, and probably the design of them will be probably very different to our own cups. So he probably will kind of hold it almost like he wouldn't probably use the handle, but he'll probably hold it from the bottom and sip out of it, almost like almost like if it was a bowl type thing.
All right.
There's also goblets of wine, right?
He hasn't served the wine yet. The wine's still in its
Okay.
bottle with the with enough goblets for everybody.
I would not trust that wine personally.
We're not. Sorry, what was that, Milk?
I was asking Bernd if he said that out loud.
No, this is I should set out character.
Yeah, that's fine. I can consider you guys like having quick hush whispers between yourselves, because I mean, just a chance for you to obviously correlate what you got to say at some point. So it's fine. I expect a little bit of in-character talk to be sort of kept between you.
Mephisto will stand and top everyone else's tea off, including his own, but he serves himself last. And then you're welcome. And then when he sits back down, he'll take a sip of tea, look to the officer. Officer, if you've been interested in gathering influence and resources from here so we pay respect to your king, why not send traders instead of an army? We would have been more akin to opening up trade with our neighbors instead of having to fight them off.
I will be honest, I do not play the political game, but from my understanding, we are expanding more rapidly, and we don't wish to necessarily be trade partners, we wish you to be part of our kingdom. As a more united country.
We have a lot of open country that could have been settled. We could have very easily have accepted immigrants of your people into our land. It's such a shame so many of your men will have to die for a foolish errand.
Well, perhaps people... He sort of stops. Creatures such as ourselves can avoid unnecessary bloodshed and come to more peaceful agreements.
I concur, which is why you should gather your honor guard and allow us to escort you to our counselors. Perhaps tomorrow.
Perhaps. If your council is more open to a more direct negotiation.
It perhaps might take some time for them to make up their mind.
Perhaps.
We're trying to stall as long as we can, so I don't think bringing this guy to our council is going to do us any favors.
Alexandrite says out of character.
Yeah,
that's like
I assume that was more of a whisper one. He goes, I can give you a short window to work things out.
And how short is that window?
Until we're ready to lay siege.
Why do we meet again tomorrow? We'll try to keep the avenue of communication open for as long as we can, so there's no unnecessary bloodshed.
This is agreeable.
Good. Then perhaps if the handlers will permit it, tomorrow we'll escort you into the city so you may speak with our counselor directly.
If your councillors are open to negotiation, then we will see.
Also, I'm curious if you are aware of the goings on in these lands.
Milthistle will step up and lean back behind Alexandrite. We're meeting with him tomorrow. Perhaps if we cannot get him to come into our city, we'll bring this to them tomorrow.
Alright. So I think we can buy more time if we mention the upcoming demon. But
Exactly.
alright. Well then. Tomorrow it is.
Officer, do you have any word that you directly need to bring to our counselors? Or is what we've discussed here enough for now?
Advise them that we do wish to work with more of a single voice rather than a multiple voices. So, one of the terms that we do wish to bring would be that the city and eventually the land which you are able to re-establish will be under one voice, and that voice will then obviously bow to our king, and obviously pay suitable taxes and levies should the time come. We obviously will assist with establishing what is left of the kingdom, and we obviously have a sizable force here that can help re-establish things if necessary. We also help to push advancements as well as ensure that you will be a profitable vessel rather than one that will necessarily drain the kingdom.
Though I do not think our council members will agree with only one of them being the main voice.
We will let the council speak for themselves in that regard, though.
It might just take some time for them to come to an agreement.
We'll do our best to expedite their decision.
Like I said, I don't often speak politics. I tend to be more of a direct route. And if the direct route means I have to deal with politics, then I will do so. But should it get more to that, then other people will step in.
Was there anything else?
We should agree when to meet again.
When shall we meet again, officer?
Midday should be more than suitable if that is for you.
Then tomorrow at midday it is.
Alright.
Alright. Milk Thistle will gather up the tea. Does everyone finish, or do you just leave your teacups there?
Bird won't finish.
Yeah. Once Alexander finishes, he'll give the teacup to Milk.
How good is that tea?
I don't have crafting, but I do like to think Milk Thistle's been brewing tea for well over 2 decades.
Do you have survival?
Survival.
I mean, I don't think you would need to roll a check to make tea. If you're trying to make a lavish meal for multiple people, then that's the sort of thing what would need a check.
Okay.
But just doing simple things of brewing tea would be fine. You won't need to make a check for that.
Well, the tea I made would have been Earl Grey, which is a black, very bitter tea. There wouldn't have been any sweetener, no honey, no cream, nothing like that. It's just straight black tea. So it probably would have been very bitter to the taste and left a kind of feeling in your mouth.
I shall take one sip and never again.
Okay.
Oh, come on, it's not that bad.
It is.
Not really.
Need some alcohol.
I'll tell you what, we'll try to get you some Irish tea the next time.
Yay.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Make it tomorrow.
You provide the alcohol, and I will brew you some Irish tea.
Maybe.
What's Irish?
Irish. Let's see. What's the pony equivalent of Irish?
Griffins?
No,
I mean,
Griffins are the merchants of this world.
Anyone say the crowd at that same time? It's like, no, they're too girly for that.
it's so Irish tea. Is that basically you put alcohol in it?
Yeah, like Irish coffee.
I mean, dwarven tea then?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it.
Okay.
Because I can only see dwarves drinking tea if there was alcohol in it.
Kirin tea.
Kirin tea. There we go. There is no pee in our beer. I mean, I did in it a little bit, but that's because I hate my job.
Sadly, that probably wouldn't be around because dragon ponies are very, very rare.
Oh,
Yeah,
well, they're in Legends, aren't they?
yeah, like legends and stuff. And the last ones were heard when the dragons and the dragon ponies attempted to overthrow the Pony Kingdom by attacking St. Moon's Reach and Villager Town towards the fall of the Empire.
Oh, I didn't know there was the dragon ponies. I thought it was just like full-blown dragons.
No, it was mostly the dragon ponies with a few dragons behind it.
Yeah,
Okay.
I was gonna say, how did they fail if they have some dragons behind it?
Yeah, I mean,
Well,
Saint Moon's Reach is the entire purpose of it is to kill dragons.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, they attacked that, and that's basically why Villager Town pretty much completely collapsed, was because of that attack. And
Yeah.
okay. Well, what Milk Thistle will do is gather up the teacups, and he'll use create water to rinse everything out, and then put it back in his bag.
Um, one more thing. You probably passed by a town called Turves. What's the situation there?
turfs.
Yeah.
Yes, there was a small settlement. Mm, he looks towards the one of the other people standing behind, and he pulls something out of a bag and passes it to the person sitting down. He scrolls through, and he looks at it. Ah, yes. Around 200 individuals. Uh, they seem to be self-sufficient, non threat minor friendly. So they were left to their own devices for the most part, as they had their military consisted of a sheriff, and they were deemed non-hostile.
I'm gonna roll sense motive to see if he's telling the truth.
Yeah, sure.
Let me get my sheet open and I'll roll it myself. Let's see. Oh wait, no, that's perception. Don't want to roll that.
Nope. Okay. Oh, more. Alright, so got those numbers. Okay. As far as you can tell, all of you, there's no signs that he seems to be trying to hide anything. It appears that he's just, as far as you can tell in regards to his manner, he's literally just reading it straight off a bit of paper.
Okay.
That would be a staggering contrast with what you people did in Kurdistan.
Caddiston, well, Caddiston is a human settlement to begin with, and the human who was running it just needed to be. He was already. He was always part of the kingdom, but he always wanted to feel more independent, and more needed to be reminded of his place.
Is he the reason why you're here?
What, the ruler of Caddiston?
Yes. What was his name? King. I'm actually looking it up. King Johnson, was that it?
Jonathan.
Jonathan?
Yeah,
What was it?
Jonathan.
Jonathan.
Yeah, he.
Was it King Jonathan the one who's responsible for bringing you here?
No, he is just a stepping stone on what will hopefully become a grander plan. But he will be the first city to be brought to compliance within the kingdom. Oh, actually, no. What they call it? King? No, you've got a rule. You've got a king, so it's a kingdom. And he just mostly enjoyed his title, but he will keep his land and his area. His title will be brought down to a one more suitable for his position. I'm not sure what it is. I believe a duke, maybe.
It was freezing there by the time we left.
But But that city has always been on the border between our lands. And hopefully soon there will be no more borders between us.
So, here's my question. If you wanted peace and to expand, why didn't you just send an emissary instead of all of this?
We are the emissary. All I can say is that we are showing you both our. We extended an olive branch, but we still have hold of the knife just in case.
Well, I believe we've done all we can for today.
Mm-hmm.
Shall we head back to the counselors?
Yes, we shall.
Very well.
Perhaps there'll be more positive talk tomorrow.
Perhaps.
Alright. And Milk Thistle, as they're walking back, will take out a piece of parchment and he'll scratch down some notes.
Yeah, that's a lot of notes.
It is.
Watching the Star Wars text scroll.
Alright. How much time has passed by the time we return back to the city?
Oh, okay. I didn't press play. It's probably been, like, with the niceties and stuff, you guys have probably been talking, I would say an hour seems sensible.
Okay. So a very short meeting. That's good.
Yeah.
Once Milk is done writing down his notes, he'll roll them up and put them back in his bag. We should find out if the prisoners that were released were actually honestly truthful with what they released. I'll be honest, from the distance we were at, I couldn't tell if they were feral ponies or actual fae.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking about as well, because they could have easily just pulled a bait and switch on us.
The feral marshal.
Why would they lie about something we're gonna find out in 1 hour?
Because it's best that we play it safe and follow up on anything that could be used as deception. I anticipate they are real, but we need to make sure the 4 spies get to Field Marshal Thunder as quickly as possible.
Well, I think we should talk with them anyway, so let's start heading back to town, everyone.
As you walk back, the soldier with the chest is no longer stood there.
Is the chest still there?
No.
Okay, it's a good thing I didn't put my sword there.
Well, there was no more. No one gave him any weaponry, so he didn't have to stand there.
Okay.
Alright. Yeah,
Yep. Sorry. Yep.
Yes, Nakshan, what is it?
Could you gather anything about them? You have a very good eye.
Milk Thistle pulls out his notes. When you say about them, do you mean the officer and his 2 handlers?
I mean, humans as a species.
Well, they certainly stand much taller than us. They have the capability of engineering weapons of war very similar to us. As far as I can gather, they seem to be almost identical in ability. Unfortunately for them, their king has these ideas of grandeur and expanding past what he is fully capable of understanding. The king seems to think that we are helpless, and because our settlements are spread out thin and we don't have a standing army, that we're going to be very easy pickings. We're going to find out how foolishly their assumptions are as soon as our army arrives.
They have a weakness between their legs. Aim for that.
Ow.
Technically, ponies do too.
Yeah.
But for the most part, we were successful in our first meeting. We have agreed on the rules of war and made our intentions known. But tomorrow would be a good time to bring up the demon and see what we can accomplish. The humans' offer of bringing us into the kingdom and setting up a single authority here in town could work to our advantage. I'll have to give that some more thought.
Out of character, how many days are we waiting for the backups to arrive?
They are remaining kind of. They probably will be arriving close enough today or tomorrow was the estimation. I think it was actually tomorrow. But the plan is to keep them back until they can be either moved in at the right point, either when they're like most needed, or when they can be brought in without being engaged.
Okay. So they be brought in when the when the walls fall and the actual humans come in. I'm just thinking like pincer movements here.
We don't have enough people for Pierce movement.
Not only that, but we did consider flanking routes. Like if we could have a bastion in front of the human army to where they have their full attention on that, but move our entire trained military force behind them, that would be a huge advantage, but there's too much open land to move that many soldiers at once.
Yeah, that's mostly the biggest issue for around here. Is it's too much of an open plain. Things are spotted far too much at a great distance.
Okay.
The military force itself is it's actually keeping back quite a distance to remain hidden. So when they're given the order to move, it will take them a bit of time. And it won't just magically appear.
For the time being, I think we trust Field Marshal Thunder with this information. In fact, we should bring this information to him first, check on the spies and the civilians, and then bring this information to Field Marshal Thunder before we meet with the counselors.
Let's ask the guys if they received the people.
Okay, yeah, let's do that.
Alright, so you guys probably have reached the gate by now, just as you're sort of saying that. The gate will be opened as you guys approached, and obviously let into the city. Sorry, what were you about to say?
Did anyone come through here?
The same person who obviously gave you a bit of a briefing before you left comes out to speak to you again and goes, we received a small force of ponies coming out. Most of them have been sent to the temple to be checked over for injuries and to see if they have any information. You are to report to the temple as well as the.
Okay, good. Let's go to the temple.
To the temple.
I can select everybody who makes everyone's life easier. Move you all as one.
Alright.
Whee! Meow. Oh.
A little short, but.
Yeah, I could only scroll so far over. You guys can move yourself the rest of the small difficulties. As you guys head down, it takes a few minutes to walk, obviously, through the city to get there. And once you arrive, there seems to be like a collection of ponies outside, and they're being looked at by various clerics of the Moon Princess, Sun Queen, and Princess Luminance. From what you can tell.
I'm gonna approach.
Sorry?
I want to approach the one that looks less hurt.
There's quite a few of them don't look any really hurt at all. They're mostly just sort of wait around, as they obviously seem to be just being mostly just checked to make sure they're okay for the most part. So there's quite a few who would be in that condition.
How many are here?
A quick head count there. You think about 30.
30, okay. Milk Thistle is going to roll sense motive. I'm going to see if I can spot the spies based on their demeanor.
You're not able to see any of them that look like spies. Most of them, outfit-wise, here look to be the farmers.
It wouldn't be by their outfits. Of course, they would try to blend in as much as possible. More about the way they carry themselves, how they're looking around, paying more attention than the rest of them.
As far as you can see, you can't see anybody who would stand out as a spy.
Oh, well then they're very good spies. Um, Either that or all the spies were killed. Was there a dead body sent back with you? Milk Pistol walks up to the closest one and asks if there was a dead body sent back with him.
I think he was taken into the temple with some of the others.
About 4 of them?
I don't know how many.
Alright. Well, Milk Pistol's going to walk inside to see if he can find the dead body because the others are likely with him.
As you go to walk in, you are stopped and you are to be searched, everything to be checked, and then you're allowed in.
Okay. Milk Pistol does the song and dance.
Yeah.
Once inside, if he doesn't see a dead body being carried around, he's just going to simply ask to see where it was taken.
One of them will tell you he was taken down to the mortuary.
Alright, since I'm not a temple employee per se, but I've got a little bit more pull here, do I have access to the mortuary?
Yeah, you probably would be able to get down. I mean, if you go to the Nightmare Wing and ask like a few of them, they'll be able to get you down there pretty easy.
Okay, Milk Pistol does that.
Oh.
Hello, Jasper.
Being ordered to open the door. Go on then.
Why Jasper?
That's his cat's name, isn't it?
No, it's Pippin.
Why did I think Jasper? You said Pippin every time.
Yep.
Jerk. Alright.
Jasper sounds familiar as a cat name, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's either a famous cat or someone else's cat I'm thinking of. Sorry.
That's right. I'm sure Pippin isn't offended.
Alright, so going down into the mortuary, looking for a dead body with 4 people carrying him.
You in the mortuary, you will find not like many people around. There's definitely a cleric down here who seems to be looking after, who would be the one who looks after bodies. The person you would speak to would be him basically first, and he will inquire what is your purpose for being down here.
Milk Pistol will give him a bell. 30 civilians were sent back. Among them was a dead body and 4 other spies. I need to find the 4 living ones.
Oh, I do not know anything of spies.
Well, there are 4 bodies that brought this one to you.
A body was brought down to me, but that was done by the temple guards. As he gestures sort of further into the room.
I see. Very well then. I'll leave you to your work.
He gives a nod.
Milk Pistol goes back outside. Meets up with the rest of the team.
You do know that the general, the Grand Marshal, has set up a command center within the temple itself. He was normally in the central area where Steel was, and there was like a large sort of table set out to represent the city. He was not in that area.
The Field Marshal was not in this area, you say?
No, I mean he normally was, like I said, around like the central table, working out had like a small, I don't want to say map, a small model of the city, which obviously they were using to plan things, and that's where you last met all the council members and the general. The general was not in that area. That's where he's mostly been when you've gone, was in the central bit. So he's obviously not here, or he's off doing something.
We need to find him.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, the civilians are here. They made it back to the temple. The temple will do their charity and take care of them. We need to find the Field Marshal quickly.
Let's see.
The spies can wait. Once we notify the general they're here, he's sure to find them.
We were told to come to the temple, so shouldn't the general be waiting for us?
There is the police guards around. Steel and obviously clerics around at the moment.
Or then maybe back at the command center. There was where was it? It was somewhere in here, wasn't it? Somewhere in the local district.
Yeah, but they moved that command center to here.
Ah,
Alexandre will ask around and say that, like, yeah, we were told to come here.
Byrne is going to use diplomacy to gather information
Alright.
on where the field marshal is.
Alright, so you won't have to make a roll for that one. Because once you start talking to people and ask that question, you'll be told pretty swiftly. So, just talking to one of the temple guards who are standing around, you will be told that a number of individuals came in with a body, and the body was removed, and the individuals who came in were taken. The general took them, as well as a few others, to make use of one of the more quieter areas of the temple.
I think we're going there.
Yeah.
Well, he's just told you what happened. He's not taking you anywhere.
All right. Well, let's go.
He doesn't know which area they've gone to, but it appeared that they were heading that direction. Basically, going through into the back areas, which were the more quieter areas. Basically, he won't be able to tell you where in the back, but that's where they headed.
Milk, you know this place. He'll lead the way.
Milk Thistle leads everyone to the Nightmare Temple.
Yeah. You would know that sort of the behind the scenes can be a bit of a rabbit warrant to a degree, with sort of each sort of wing having their own sort of like corridors, sleeping places, and they do kind of twist and turn and sort of meet in various points. So you can get lost if you don't really know where you're going. You know the Nightmare ones pretty well though.
Alright, yeah, Milk Thistle will ask Nightshine, cast some light so everyone can see if you can just stay close to me.
I should have light, yes, and his horn grows.
Right.
And Milk Thistle will lead them to the junction where everything tends to split off and go back to their own individual rooms.
Yeah.
Alright. And from here, he's going to roll perception to see if he can hear movement coming from deeper within. Field Marshal Thunder kind of movement.
You wouldn't really be able to tell if it's Field Marshal Thunder's sort of movement, but you do pick up like movement from the various different areas in the temple itself. The behind the scenes is normally lively during certain parts of the day. So hearing noises down each of the corridors isn't unsurprising. And it will be very difficult to pick out any one person unless they had a rather loud and distinct voice.
Speaking of, Milk Thistle is prepared to start shouting the Field Marshal's name over and over again until someone tells us to shut up, and then we can just track him down.
Before that, Milk,
Yes?
Nightshine gonna whisper you something. I don't really like. Okay, just keep your ear sharp in case maybe they change sides or something. Know what I mean?
The Field Marshal?
No, they spies.
Oh, I see.
I don't like to do it, but you know.
Well, does everyone have their weapons returned to them? No, because you're in the temple, of course not.
No one.
I mean, we went right here after we got back, so...
Yeah, I left my weapon at the gate. I probably have that back. But...
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to coat the ship after this.
Yep.
I don't mean a fight. I just mean maybe they will lie, you know?
I'll keep my
So,
mind sharp, but it's good that you pointed that out.
um,
All right. Do I just roll perception to see if I can find Field Marshal in these corridors?
Um, you, because it's a bit of a wabbit one, and you don't know where he's gone within this. I mean, he could be really nearby. He could be further away. I mean, running around shouting his name probably, and if he hears it, will catch his attention. But there's no guarantee that you're going to be in the right section to be able to find him. That's the downside of this. Unless you find somebody who knows where he's gone, it is going to be a bit difficult.
Okay. So he's obviously not in the Nightmare Wing part of the temple because we walked all the way through there.
Yeah.
All right. Since this is the junction, does this connect to the Sin Queen's area?
Yes, it would.
All right. Good chance he's down there. So I suggest we go down there and just start shouting his name over and over again until someone finds us.
oh god. Yeah, why not?
All right. So yeah, Milk Thistle will start us out. Field Marshal! Shouting at the top of lungs over and over again.
So,
Knocking on.
so as you obviously start walking through shouting, it doesn't take too long before somebody will come and tell you to that this is a place of worship, not a meeting point. If you want to meet with somebody, they can fetch somebody to sort that out for you. As
Well, Field Marshal Thunder is using this as a meeting place, and we need to speak to him immediately. So if the quicker you can help us find him, the quicker you can get back to your worship.
well, if you can return to the entrance hall, we will have somebody. Somebody will come out and inform you shortly.
What's the entrance way?
The where you came in, where the big map is, where Steel is, where the author's book is.
I don't know how to get back there.
Alexander will lead the way.
Actually, you're probably not as familiar with the back end as Milk Thistle is, or at least on your side of things. But they will have a younger cleric who will come and lead you back. Actually, what I'm on about, Wishful Pen will know where to take you because she basically grew up here.
Yeah, she knows it.
Wishful Pin knows everything.
Well, she knows the temple really well.
She knows a lot.
Yeah, exactly.
So she will take you back.
Wishful Pen, where would a general go into this temple to find a place that's a bit more hidden than the rest of it? Or some
Oh.
She goes,
There's that. Sorry, Alexander actually thinks he knows this because we had that secret meeting where we talked about bringing Steel in. So Alexander will go, oh, I think I know the place.
well,
She'll lead them down to that area.
Wishful Pen goes, we should be going back to the entrance hall because if we go there and he's not there and then he ends up at the entrance hall and we're not there, then, well, I mean, it's very impolite to not be somewhere where you said you will be when the other person shows up.
It's fair, I guess.
But yes, that is very. I mean, if you want somewhere private, somewhere large, somewhere nice, that would be a possibility. There are numerous smaller rooms, not as grand as that one, that are in that area that it could be. But there are numerous smaller prayer rooms, smaller private libraries, in various different parts of this temple that could possibly be utilised. But I couldn't say which one of them he would be in.
All right, we'll simply go back to the main room where his desk is, and we'll wait for him.
he will. You will after 15 minutes, you have a cleric come out to you, and he says he is currently speaking with 4 other individuals, with a number of his entourage, and will return to you shortly. And he does not wish to be disturbed.
I like character. I'm getting annoyed at this.
Yeah, I am too.
But
Like in and out of character. I mean, should we just go straight to the golfers then?
Sorry, what was that?
Should we just go straight to the counselors? The field marshal is apparently very busy that we can't even get word of what he's up to for 50 minutes of waiting.
Yeah.
I mean, after he told us to come here.
yeah,
We could sit down and wait. It sucks, but we should.
Why should we?
Well, he's the one that's really being the backbone of not getting this city destroyed and colonized by humans.
Nothosil takes a deep breath. Yes, you're right. Very well. Let us wait here until he is ready.
all right. Only 5 minutes later, a familiar face will enter the temple area. This terrible remembering names.
Is it Amethyst?
No, it's not. No, she won't be able to get into this area at this point in time.
Not that familiar.
Alright, what are you doing here?
Alright.
Is it
No,
no?
no. It's the son of the nobleman who you may have offed.
Crystal Heart.
Crystal Heart, there we go, that's what I was looking for. Crystal Heart does come in and head towards you all.
Milkfistle will rise to his shoes and give him a polite bow. My lord.
Not long got word that you returned from your meeting. I'm assuming the other council's members will be informed shortly and will be on their way down. How did it go?
We accomplished what we intended to do. We discussed the rules of war, and we have made arrangements to come back tomorrow. So we are biding our time.
How long do you think you can keep up this charade for?
There's no telling, though we do have tomorrow for certain. My lord, a moment with you if I may.
Certainly.
The Milkfistle kind of pulls him over close toward the wall, but he's not exactly hiding his conversation from everyone else, so y'all can step up and listen if you wanted to.
Sure, for sure.
You go away to have a private chat, and then everyone stands there listening carefully.
Yeah.
Lord Emberhearts, I've invited an officer who did not identify himself to come into the city and speak directly to the council. He had 2 handlers behind him who are either controlling him directly or simply report back to the king. He did not identify himself as a general, though by his armor he certainly looked like one. I wanted him to come back and speak directly to the counselors in the hopes that we could find some kind of amicable solution to all of this. I'll go ahead and let you know that I'll report this to the council and the field marshal later. They intend to absorb us into their growing empire. That is why they brought their army here, so that they have the force of the sword behind their words. But while one hand is holding a sword, the other one is holding an olive branch. If we cannot get them to come here, it would be best if we had a council representative go to them. We already know that Duchess Lilypad does not have the spine for this. Do you think he would have the courage to represent the council? Because he does wish to speak to a singular person of authority.
What sort of risks involved, if any?
being captured and killed. Tortured for information.
Well, I'm sure that I have a group of individuals who would be able to keep my safety at heart.
You certainly do. While we're not permitted to have weapons there, we will have armor, and I will have my spells.
Then I'm sure there's enough of a buffer there to at least see to it that we can get out mostly unharmed.
Then here's my plan, and Milk Thistle looks to everyone. Since we're trying to bide as much time as possible, we will go back tomorrow with any additional responses that the council and the field marshal might have. When we speak to the officer, I will find out if he has declared whether or not he will come into the city. I did offer him to bring an honor guard with him, so there will be armed soldiers within our city. They would see the defenses that we have in here, but we would get a face-to-face, and perhaps we could find a peaceful solution to end all of this. Most likely, he will not take that offer. I do not believe the handlers would permit him being risked. Whoever he is, he's certainly important to them. So, what I will offer is for the following day, on the third day, to invite a counselor to go with us. If you would volunteer before the council to speak with them on their behalf, I think that would buy us at least another day. What do you think?
It could work. It could work, but it's very risky.
Of
And
course.
again, desperate times call for desperate measures.
And we do also have the other card on the table.
Yes, the demons.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure that they would not want to rule a land that might be plagued with demons.
We could potentially stretch this out into a meeting on a fourth day, if necessary. Tomorrow, if he will not volunteer to bring an honor guard into the city to speak to the counselors himself, then on the third day, we'll bring up the demons. And if he grows impatient, then on the fourth day, I will say that we have a counselor who is willing to meet with them. Is this agreeable?
Yes.
Certainly.
Yes?
Very well.
Seems the best option to buy us more time.
And speaking of biding time, the field marshal certainly is biding his own. So we'll need to wait here patiently until he calls for us.
Well, it doesn't look like any of the other council members have arrived.
I am glad that you did. That initiative is going to pay forward for you very well.
Well, there was somebody who was meant to send word that when your entourage had returned, but have you been waiting long then?
Over an hour now.
It seems that the messenger took a bit of time to get to myself then. But I believe we're all over the city, so it's possible that they're having difficulty finding us.
I don't suppose something has happened, do you?
I've not received word of anything drastic.
How many humans are still residing within the city?
I don't believe we've had any here for a significant amount of time. I mean, unless you want to count the gnomes.
Lightning, would you care to walk with me to some of the the counselors?
Were you in the, are you still in the temple?
Yeah, we're still in the temple.
Oh, Lightning's not in the temple.
Yeah, Lightning's waiting outside. Sorry.
Alexander is nowhere to be seen.
Alright, Fern, would you care to walk with me to check on the counselors?
Sure, why not?
You
Seems like
know,
fun.
we could try to stay together for a long time.
We still need someone to stick behind and give the report to the field marshal, but I am worried about. It has taken a normal amount of time, and I'm worried for their safety.
Yeah, that is a fair point.
Alright. I'll remain here, and whoever arrives, they'll be part of the meeting.
As
Actually,
as you two go to leave, you will run into Lord Skystriker, one of the other council members who actually arrives by wing, basically lands just in the courtyard and starts making his way forward.
Ah, good. I'll go up to him and greet him, and
He sees you guys leaving. Oh, I'm not late, am I?
Apparently not.
it just seemed to have been taking a while, so we were going to check on you and the others. You were the second one to come.
Oh, okay. Well, you not needed?
Oh. Well, not all of us are needed, but we were just trying to think.
Well, I do apologise. My trying to keep the populace calm is proving strenuous.
Fair enough.
Yeah, it's fair and totally understandable.
Do you have any idea when the others should be coming?
I thought they might have been here already. I got word a little while ago that you had arrived back, but I just couldn't get away.
The other counselors have not arrived yet.
Oh, so I'm the first?
You're the second.
Yeah. You and Crystal Heart.
Oh, okay. Then it's just the Duchess who needs to arrive. Then
Do you have any idea where she might be?
I'm surprised she's not here already.
Well, we should take a look for her then. Something might have happened.
I mean,
Yep.
last I thought she was going to be waiting here with the general for you all to arrive.
Ah, yeah, she's with the general, but maybe she's already talking with the ponies that have arrived. We've managed to release some prisoners along with spies.
Well then, perhaps we'll go in and see see if they make an appearance then.
All right.
In the meantime, Knight is gonna pull Milk closer to the corner. Milk? Oh.
Sorry, I was running back to my computer because I muted myself.
I want you to know that I support you. Looking at the council member besides them?
Are you saying you support you to Milk Thistle or to the counselor?
And to Milk.
Milk Thistle nods his head. I believed you would. This is definitely a better choice than previously talked about.
No, I mean, I was kind of worried what you were going to do after he put you into the stocks in the middle of the city to be humiliated, but apparently you kind of enjoy that because you should like to respect him a lot more now.
For the upteenth time, Milk Thistle is raising his eyebrow at Nightshine.
I'm not kidding.
Milk Thistle turns to the counselor and just looks down at the floor at his hooves, and you can see the gears are turning in his head. And then he finally comes to the realization, oh, and he squints and cringes really hard. No, that's not the kind of relationship we have.
Of course not. Wink, wink.
Well, sometimes some people want to be punished.
Just know that he and I, have come to a greater understanding and have far more respect for each other than we did before.
Of course, I'll put you in your place. Wink, wink.
Milk Thistle decides not to fight against it. He just nods his head. Yes.
He looks you. It's just like my wife and I.
Milk Thistle scowls again, and he just starts rubbing his snoot. How is this like you and your wife?
Well, she likes when I tie her down and put her in her place. You know.
I wouldn't know because I don't do those things.
Oh, of course not. Wink, wink.
Yes, well, I think I'm gonna go stare at this corner over here until the meeting begins. Excuse me.
Okay. Night will give the couple some space.
Milk actually walks away to be by himself.
It's not long after that little conversation that the general and the Duchess do make an appearance and are back on the main floor. And basically, everyone sort of kind of converges on the large model of the city.
And Milk Thistle approaches, but remains quiet until he's acknowledged.
Alexander is gonna do a quick detect evil scan.
I'm trying
Look,
to
I got one thing that I can do.
Yeah, I know. I was just trying to think if I mentioned anyone who pops up as evil already out of them, because I think you've poked them all before, and I was just trying to remember previous information. I don't, if I remember correctly, none of them are evil that I can recall, so there shouldn't be any evil that crops up.
Okay, just wanted to make sure no one's being brainwashed or anything.
No, that's fine. I mean, that won't necessarily show up, but.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the general sort of comes forward and goes, "Thank you for remaining. Hopefully, you did not return too soon." But other things cropped up from the ponies that were released by the humans, and
Yes, 4 of our spies have been returned.
yes, and given that they were amongst the actual army, they could well have had potential information that could have been vital.
What
Did they?
text? Yeah.
Mostly minor things. Basically, what they overheard from guards talking, and those sort of aspects. Nothing on the grand scale, but it helps us gauge. It helps us gauge at least the human's mindset.
And what is their mindset?
From what was overheard, as far as we can tell, it seems that they're almost looking forward to doing something after all the walking, as they put it. So it seems that they're up for very much a fight. And it appears that some of them at least are looking, might even enjoy it, type of thing. As we're hoping to get some discontent. We're hoping to get some any words of discontent or any word or anything we could use against them. But as far as we can tell, at least on the information that they're able to supply, it seems that their military forces are in good spirits. They seem to be very much geared towards potentially a fight, so they're not shying away from it, which isn't necessarily good news. But we're letting the 4 individuals are having some rest, and then we're going to continue talking to see if we can actually learn anything more, see if they can give us anything else on any more smaller details that they might have not be remembering right away.
If you invite me to interrogate them, I will find out if there's any deceit in their words.
Well, we will be bringing in some expert interrogators to speak to them one-on-one. Separate them out just to make sure things cross over. We've got other individuals who are just double checking to make sure there's no lingering magical effects on any of them as well.
Understood.
But should your skills in that be required, then I'll be sure to keep that in mind.
Well, all of our counselors are here. You are here, Field Marshal. Shall we begin?
Certainly. He gestures towards all of you guys. Well, you have the floor for the moment.
We have what?
You have the floor, as you have returned.
Ah. Milk Thistle pulls out his notes and hands them to Alexandra.
Alright. Alexander will look over the notes and read them out.
The general waits.
Alright. Sorry, out of character is fumbling around.
All the notes are there as a guide to remind you of what we went over and what was agreed upon.
Yeah, so this is one of those things where you can't just say, oh, I read the notes. You kind of have to tell me what you're saying, because you could, if you want to, withhold information on purpose, so it is kind of important.
Yeah, we're probably not going to do that because everyone needs to know what's going on, so, what a fucking time to get super tired. Alright, so yeah, Alexander will go over the fact that we've talked to the armies and they're talking to the general, or quote-unquote general. We've brought them the terms of our engagement and about what we've all agreed to. Let's see. We are working on stalling more and go over the plans of that.
Yes, and those plans are.
Yeah, you have to actually say what the plans are.
Oh, yes.
Do you need help, Alexandra?
Yes, because I am fumbling like shit here.
Alright. Milk Thistle puts a reassuring hoof on his shoulder. Alexandra was instrumental in negotiations, but as you can see, it has exhausted him. So he takes his notes away and gives them to Burnt.
Okay. Just a moment, I'm trying to get in the right mindset here. So we met with the officer who didn't identify himself, but we invited him to speak with. He motions to the council members to you all. We were hoping that he'll agree to meet up and discuss with the terms of war, as well as how to resolve this peacefully with an honor guard. They came to this land as an emissary, supposedly, under the name of their king, Lawrence II. Let's see. We discussed that during the war, all civilians are not to be shown mercy so long as they don't hold weapons or attacked. Those that surrender are to be shown mercy, as we discussed. Same thing with religious sites, to be unharmed. They say that they want to absorb us into their empire, their kingdom. I, for one, do not really agree with this. He's looking through Milk Thistle's notes, and he's collecting himself and composing himself as he goes. We discussed the pauses between battles should permit both sides collect the dead and wounded. He agreed to that. We also agreed that no bioweapons would be used, meaning both natural and magical. The humans wish to work with a single voice instead of multiple, and for the the city to be under one authority. And we also asked about turfs, and they said that there were 200 individuals that were left behind and that were deemed not a threat. He looks to the council and says, I think that we could convince their general, or who we believe is their general, to meet with you all with an honor guard of theirs. And I think that we can work out a peaceful solution to this.
The Duchess kind of, with that, sort of gives a scoff. Peaceful, as in we bend over backwards for this so-called king. And then you can continue saying what you want. She just gives out that sort of comment.
Yes, and, well, to be fair, we didn't bring up the demon situation. We aren't going to until probably tomorrow or the third day, depending on how much longer we can stall. Because my thought is, if they learn about the demon situation here, they're gonna not want any part of it. At least I would assume so and hope so.
There is the matter of convincing them that it is real.
Do we still have the Revenant's head as a trophy?
Yes, as far as I'm aware, you still got what's his face? His head somewhere in a bag. I don't know if you've got.
It's rotting inside Lightning's bag.
Yeah, there you go.
Well, it is just the head of a Revenant. I don't know if that can be identified as a demon head, can it?
You're unsure. Normally, demons, when they get killed on the material plane, kind of go back to the original plane they were on. There are certain demons that do not, but those are generally potentially can be identified.
All right. Well, we can definitely bring that up to him.
I'm back, by the way.
Welcome back. Also, counselors, in regards to the terms of warfare, as Byrne and Alexandra had mentioned, the prisoners, should they be captured, are to be kept safe and away from harm. But if they attempt to escape or they attack again, they will not be shown mercy a second time. They will be cut down immediately. The civilians are not to be used as a barrier or a wall. They have warned that they intend to use siege weapons to tear our walls down so they can gain entrance to the city. All civilians need to be moved away from their homes along the city walls, because if not, they could easily be caught in the crossfire. We're not to use them as human shields, or rather as fleshy shields, and in return they will not specifically target them.
Lord Skystriker speaks up. We've removed most of them, though there's a few stubborn individuals who do not want to leave their family homes, but most of them have moved away from the walls.
If they're willing to pick up weapons and fight an invading army to defend their homes, I see nothing wrong with that, but they should know that they will likely die if they do. If they're willing to, I say leave them.
Well, they're the sort to do such a thing, though they're in very awkward positions that it would be unlikely that we would be able to protect them.
Sorry. Go ahead, Matcha.
We should try to convince them to leave and come inside a safer place.
I'm trying, but you try and convince a family of Earthbound ponies that have lived in the same house for the last 20 generations.
I shall try.
I mean, he has a point.
I mean, they're very much willing to fight and die for their homes, or at least the ones able to wield weaponry. But I will continue to convince them to leave if I can.
If they're willing to fight and kill, then simply consider them members of a militia. They know the risks.
I'm sure they do.
In regards to the religious sites, we did ask that religious sites and sites of importance to be spared. We will be marking these with colored ribbon or some kind of sign if you prefer that will be hanging from the top that can be seen by the siege engineers as well as on all the doors if they should manage to break through our walls and attack. The condition of this, however, is that the religious sites are not to be used for any military purpose whatsoever. He looks at the field marshal. So, field marshal, if this condition is to be met, you'll have to move your quarters to some other place.
This was picked because of its more central position and more suitable. And being so close to the park, we had a suitable, large open area we could muster troops and deploy them from.
We could likely clear out the bank.
Yeah, I was just about to say the bank is right across the street.
Mm. Oh yeah, I forgot the bank was there.
Yeah. But if it's a fancy bank and playing into stereotypes, the Griffin Temple is right across from it. It's probably got extravagant halls and nice open floors for planning.
Yeah, it's definitely one of those fancy banks.
Okay. So, merely a suggestion, but if the conditions to be met, we must remove all military presence out of the temples or any other location we intend to mark as a sacred site.
It's definitely something we can look into doing should we need to.
If they manage to break through the gates, which hopefully we prevent that.
Yes. At the moment, I think if we take over the bank, it will probably upset a number of. He looks towards the council members more at this point. High-profile individuals.
Those high-profile individuals should be made understood that this is a time of war and that sacrifices are to be made. The temple has certainly made sacrifices to accommodate you. The bank can be expected to do the same, I say.
Highly possible, but we will cross the bridge when we come to it, so to speak.
Very well. We did offer the speaking officer a chance to meet with the counselors. So, an important question, counselors. Would you be willing to meet with this officer if he were to be brought into the city with an honor guard?
The Duchess simply goes, well, if you're planning to make use of his foolishness to come in, then I say yes.
Foolishness in what way? Do you intend to ambush him and hold him?
Well, seems a perfect opportunity to take advantage.
Alright, so here's the problem with that, Duchess. While I'm not gonna lie, it sounds like a good idea on paper. Sorry, I can't speak right today. But what do you think is gonna happen when he doesn't return, say an hour, maybe 3 hours to a day later? They're gonna get suspicious, right? And they'll start attacking.
No, because we're going to indicate that we have their precious leader as a captive, and well, it's their chance to surrender and leave us alone.
Sadly, it's not their precious leader. It's the nice person of their army who we're talking with.
Yeah.
Not even the army general.
The person we are speaking to is most certainly an officer, but most likely not the general.
Yeah. So if we take the nice fellow that we were talking to hostage, that just gives the general more reason to come busting down the gate.
Well then, see if you can convince it so the general himself will accompany. Say that's who we want to speak to. If we're going to negotiate.
Well, I really don't think that's... I'm not entirely sure if that's possible, considering the fact that we only talked to this one person. I do not believe that their general will be as forthcoming as they are.
And we do not know who the general is, so it could easily be a decoy.
Considering the fact that this was the vanguard of the human army, and that the rest will be here shortly, possibly within a day, I think the main general is headed up with the main army. This vanguard is likely led by an officer, high ranking no doubt, but not the general. So we will need to wait until the general arrives.
Which makes us sitting ducks out here.
Well, that will buy us more time if we insist it's the general himself.
If we are to speak directly to the general, they will no doubt want to speak with you. We will take this word, but if he does agree to bring an honor guard into the city, are you willing to speak with him?
Well, she looks to the field marshal. I'm sure we'll have an ambush set up, and we can speak to him after he's a prisoner.
I would not suggest that, Duchess. I would highly not suggest doing that. If we're looking for peace, we want to go about this peacefully, not ambushing and then talk.
We are not looking for peace, but I agree we shouldn't do it.
Prematurely. We shouldn't do it prematurely.
It would just make this person a martyr, and that could spark a flame.
Field Marshal, how much longer until the bulk of your forces arrives? How much more time do we need to buy you?
Not long. Like I said, they can be in the city by best estimations. They will arrive in position tomorrow, and they could be within the city walls by the if they continued moving and didn't stop, possibly by nightfall, or no, actually, yeah, early morning, or the day afterwards.
Will they need time to rest?
Ideally, if they're moving into a hostile situation, they'll be marching the entire day and then expecting them to potentially fight. If we push them and make them march all night, they'll be stretched too thin.
So you need 2 more days, is that correct?
But we still don't have a way to get them into the city without being obviously noticed. That is our biggest worry.
Have the scouts or the soldiers on the wall spotted anyone moving behind us that would be able to see the coming army? Because even though an army makes a lot of noise, there is a massive wall between the current vanguard and your army.
Well, the reports of their movements is they have basically they have troops on horseback circling the entire city. So they are likely to be spotted. A force that size will take an hour or two to move into position. Given the flat plains and the amount of troops moving, it's possible they might get into the city, but we will be cutting it fine. It depends on how quickly the humans can muster for war.
If these scouts are circling the city, could we manage to throw our soldiers in when they have a blind spot?
It's possible, but it depends what they bring with them once the actual main force arrives. I assume that this small unit which is circling the city at the moment is just obviously collect anybody who tried to escape, or at least watching for movement at the gates.
Do you have any word, Field Marshal, that needs to be brought back to this officer we're speaking to?
I'm mainly dealing with the defence of the city. The only worry is, if he comes in, he'll be able to get some key looks at the at our defences, which I would personally like to avoid. So what we could do is bring him through a gate that we can bring them through a gate that we're not necessarily expecting them to attack from. So we haven't fortified there yet. So that way we won't tip our hand too much.
With this scout, how long would it take to go around the city that way?
What? Just riding all the way around?
Yeah.
They seem to be on wild horses. Oh no, they seem to be riding simple hooves around the city, and they are broken up into multiple units, so they don't circle like as one big group. They patrol certain sections of it, checking in with each other.
I see.
I just remembered something. One of the demands that the officer had made is that we do not attack their main camp. They have civilians working there. I explained to him that civilians working in a military camp are not truly civilians, but he was persistent in saying that the main camp of theirs is to be left alone.
I believe I managed to talk them down to if they do not have arms and do not attack us, we will leave them be.
Yes, all soldiers who surrender are to be shown mercy, and all, excuse me,
Yep.
all soldiers who surrender and throw down their weapons are to be shown mercy, and any civilians not holding weapons will also be shown mercy. So that was the agreement we came to.
It sounded like he was trying to ensure that he didn't have to leave his flank covered and commit more forces to the assault. Or at least that's...
We do have a meeting with him tomorrow. We can certainly bring word back to him to let him know that a single counselor is willing to meet with him. And if he still does not agree, we can bring up the fact that there is the demon who is threatening these lands. And that should potentially buy us another day. Is this agreeable?
Crystal Heart goes, well, if you need somebody to actually go out and speak to him, I'm more than happy to head out and do such a thing.
No fizzle nods. Were you about to say something, Nachan?
We should go back to the point about not attacking their civilians. If we can assure our civilians are safe, we don't need to promise not to attack theirs.
Well, the main concern is the main part of their military camp is a valuable target. That's where no doubt the officers are going to be housed and where many of their resources are going to be housed as well. So it is a good target, but we need to ensure that the civilians' lives themselves are not going to be part of that.
Yeah, but we can disagree with him about not attacking their definition of civilians.
Yeah, that's the thing. It seems convenient that their civilians just so happen to be in their military camp. Very convenient. Foolish, because of how big the target is.
We can bring that back up to gain clarification tomorrow. Beyond that, over the prisoners who were returned, the farmers who were found in the outcroppings, and the 4 spies, including one who had died. But it seems that you got to them before we arrived.
Yes, they were brought here right away to see if they had anything important.
Do we currently have any prisoners of theirs?
No, not currently.
It seems strange. I would have expected them to try to infiltrate the city.
Well, there's been no infiltration that has been picked up as of yet.
They could always be finding some way into the sewers from the outside. Granted, it's not likely, but it's a possibility.
It's a rather large city, and there are plenty of places for somebody to hide in.
I'm still curious about these scouts. Actually, is there a particular meeting point that they gather and send off their information?
They each got a section of the externals they patrol. Only 2 groups ever meet at one point, so information does take a little while to travel between them to various things. But we have observed them using birds to potentially communicate as well.
How big are these groups?
About 10 in size.
We have a potential of cutting off their information if we could manage to cut off these meeting points.
Milk Thistle starts scratching his chin, and he gets the smile across his face. I think I know how to deal with these birds. In fact, many in this temple know how to deal with these birds. Counselors, are you familiar with the spell Murderous Crow?
The councillors wouldn't, no.
Let me see. I would like to try rolling Knowledge Arcana.
Yeah, you can try.
I'd like to ask.
I'm trying to find it. I can't remember what level the spell is.
I'm afraid, Burnt, you have no idea.
It's a level 1 spell. Okay. Yeah, I'll go. I'm not casting it right now because I don't have it prepared, but I'll put this up there for everybody to see it. So Milk Thistle explains. It's a spell that allows the summoner to call forth a single crow, and it can be used to attack. Chances are, if they're using these birds to send messages back and forth, we can use the crows to make it look like natural wildlife is attacking their birds. That would stop their means of communication. They would either have to return to deliver their messages in person, or no word would get back to their commanders at all.
That makes total sense.
And if we can attack one of the scouts, we can actually buy some time for our armies to get into the forts.
Yeah, it's such a wishful pen will mention. It's such a short duration spell that the bird might not reach the other birds in time.
Yeah.
How far away are the birds?
They are further back than what you were. They are more on the outer skirts of the farmland, so a good distance away.
So, Bird sort of rubs his chin a bit. He goes, are there by chance any spells that could create storms to make it harder for them to see? Like for them to gauge our defenses?
There certainly are.
So, if we could make it harder on them, sure, it'll be the same on us. We'll have a harder time if it comes down to fighting in the storms. But if we can make it to where they don't have visibility of us, then we would be able to get the drop on.
Well, the catch with using things like Obscuring Mist or the really powerful spells like the Typhoons you're referring to is it works both ways. If you can't see the enemy through the mist, they can't see you.
Yeah.
Here's a question. Out of character, here's a question. Pegasus can't change the weather now, can they?
Nope.
Okay.
The elves
There
have
goes
stolen that. Damn those elves.
Yeah.
What you're describing, Burned, is something I've only read about. I've never had a chance to see it before. It's a 9th level spell.
Yeah.
So
I'm afraid you're not going to have like high level those sort of individuals, as those tend to be players or important players who have their own agendas, or
Nightshine, how far can you use a magic missile?
Have you?
17. I mean, 170.
170 feet? Okay, that. I was thinking if you could split like magic missiles and like take out birds as they fly, like
That's
you probably
basically
don't need to do luck. Yeah.
that's basically 1 hex of this map.
Oh, yeah, that's very, very, very small.
Yeah.
Okay. Are any of the birds seen flying directly over the cities?
Occasionally, not often.
Here's what I suggest then, Field Marshal. Find a way to incapacitate the bird. Do not kill it. But if it's flying over the city, you might be able to have an archer stun it with a blunt arrow. When it comes down to the ground, treat its wounds, obtain the message that's being sent, and either send it along or create your own. Chances are they're using a cipher, which will need to be figured out, but we have the ability to do that ourselves. And you could feed them fake information.
Any information they may get is probably something we already know ourselves, and their main army is going to join them in less than 2 days. I don't think we can make much progress with this.
But we can sow confusion.
Yeah,
If they
if
get
you're
messages, then it's not going to let them to allow them to formulate their plans effectively. They will have to pull one of their scouts out and replace them with somebody else. That's going to take a lot of time.
and we could feed them fake information that would be advantage to us.
Well, it's definitely a matter we will look into. He goes. It's definitely something we will investigate our best options with it.
I carried you that foraging documents if you need it.
Perhaps we could get Lightning to sneak into one of these places and steal a bird.
That would be very challenging.
Yeah.
Like, she might be in a position to where she could intercept the bird or kill it outright. But to steal the bird, that would mean being potentially getting caught. Lightning, do you think you could do that?
I think Lightning's still outside.
Oh, that's true. I don't know if lightning came in when the meeting started.
I'll go get Lightning and ask her if.
Lightning, you're being dragged into important meetings.
I'm not going in with that.
Alexander will head out and say, "I understand, but we need to. I need to ask you something. If you are willing to sneak into an enemy encampment to potentially help root out messages."
Oh. Oh. And what do I get out of this?
Alexander is just gonna give that look. What is it you want?
Vilification of the Kara Temple and its expansion?
I don't think I can promise that.
You make it happen, mister. I want true sight goggles. You're gonna buy me true sight goggles, okay?
How much is that gonna cost?
She pokes Alexandra in the chest. I don't care how much it costs.
If you've got knowledge, not knowledge, you can roll me appraise if you've got it.
At least she's not asking for anything unreasonable.
I do not got it.
Then you can make it untrained.
Right. And is this blind?
No, it's one of those ones you're either going to know it or don't, so it doesn't matter.
I don't know it.
You have no idea.
Oh, good evening. You can't question my choices.
Alright.
You know why I am.
You know that Kara is probably going to more attack you politically than physically, right?
I'm taking extra precautions. I'm taking every precaution possible.
So that's why you're standing out here all alone.
Yeah. You had a problem with that? Why didn't you go to the temple to do our meeting? You know they're spies, right?
Yeah, and I imagine that any spies could probably kill you right now without any of us
You
knowing.
think they
But,
have like 10 people in the temple?
well, I mean, you're just right outside, so if they're in the temple, they would probably be outside the temple as well.
They know where my fucking hangout is. They know where I live, they know what I do. What am I supposed to do, Alexandra? I'm going to go do that, and you're going to get me fucking true sight goggles, so I know who the fuck is trying to fuck with me. Okay?
Alright, I will get you true sight goggles.
Okay.
I'm
going to go suicide mission now.
Alright. Alexander will walk back and say she wants fucking true sight goggles for this, but she agrees.
What does she need suicide goggles for?
The Duchess goes, she's joking, right?
No, she's very paranoid about Kara sending assassins after her.
Well, I'm sure we can find somebody who's probably just as competent for a far cheaper price than something like that.
Alright.
What
I'm
if
sorry. Sorry, go on.
What if the goggles are given out on loan, and she returns them when the job is done?
Well, if you can find somebody who'll have such a thing to loan.
Absolutely everything likely would. You must have at least one pair left.
If they do, then if you can get them to loan it, then it's entirely possible. But it's unlikely somebody will just loan an item like that, given its cost.
Can Lina not simply do the job herself?
I'm sure she can, but she is being quite stubborn.
There's a very angry wedding.
Oh god, we could see like the thunder clouds outside over Lightning's head.
A hoof on the table. I want the true sight goggles.
Well, Milk, this was your plan. What do you think we should do?
If lightning is going to be unreasonable...
I'm right here, Milk.
Oh, you're back. What made you decide to come in?
I just put my hoof down on the table.
Oh, that was your hoof, I see.
I don't want to be here.
Lightning, you shouldn't make outrageous demands like, I demand true sight goggles. Those are a very rare, very precious item that's just not given out to anyone.
Yeah. And this is like, this is a very important mission, no?
It is.
But
But
suicide.
it's unlikely that you're going to be caught. And no, it's not a suicide mission, it's just a tactical mission. You're to get close enough to a single scout a lone scout, who I know you are fully capable of sneaking up on, to intercept a messenger bird. Do it without getting caught, bring the bird back to us alive.
Or sneak into their camp and take them.
We don't need you to sneak into their camp just yet. Go on to the other side of the city, find a lone scout, intercept his messenger bird, and bring it back to us.
Can we not talk here? Can we arrange meetings elsewhere?
The Grand Marshal goes, the building is secure from any potential threat or peering eyes than anywhere else in this city. You're in the safest place you could be at this moment.
Oh yes, I'm sure the car priest would agree with you there.
If you were... Go ahead, Knight.
No, you go ahead.
If you were in any real danger, Lightning, you would have burst into flames by now.
If I was in any real danger... I'm always in fucking danger here.
Of course you are.
We're all in danger right now.
You're the
Considering
entire...
what's... Sorry.
No, Bert, you sounded like you had something better.
So, we're all in danger right now, considering the immense happenings. Considering we have a human army outside at our doorstep just waiting to break down those gates, come inside and absorb us into their kingdom, which, you know, if we find a way to get it to where, hey, they leave us alone, that's perfect. But, let's see, so far we have, and he looks to the council, and he says, I apologize if this offends any of you. I really do. But right now we can't be beating around the bush. Right now we can't be putting any blame on any of us. We have to work together as unity. That is what this is about, right, Duchess? Unity?
It's about survival.
Yeah, which in turn involves unity, correct?
Survival.
Wizard's gonna poke out his head and shake his little claw. If Lily won't do it, then Lord Weasel offers himself.
Oh,
He's
I'll
got to worth 1,000 gold.
I never said I would do it.
Yes, you did.
I just want something as a reward.
Well, if you
Shut up.
shouldn't do any rewards, because we are all doing this together.
It's not unreasonable for me to demand the goggles of truth sight.
Well,
It
Lord
looks-
Weasel wants 2,000 gold.
You mean you want 2,000 gold?
No, he's the one shaking his little claw.
Yeah, sure, buddy.
Lightning, the mission we're putting forth here is one that's going to require a specific set of skills, ones that you possess. If you're not willing to do it, say so. Don't expect any reward or glory from this. This is supposed to be a covert mission. I know you're capable. The question is, will you do it?
At this point, Byrne is, he stands up in a respectful way and just leaves the room. He's standing right outside the door,
Well,
regaining his calm.
you can
Collecting himself.
you can stay within like the large entrance area because it's a grand sort of one. So you can walk away from the table and be a good distance away and still be inside, so you don't have to leave.
Yeah, that's what he's doing. Is he? Because it's just like, oh, this is just game time.
Fine, I'll get your fucking letter.
Good. I trust you are able.
Slaps his cup of tea out of his hand. Out of his foot.
I don't think he's drinking tea at the moment.
I'm not.
Damn you.
You can slap the quill out of my hoof if it makes you feel better.
Slap the quill out of your hoof.
Milk Thistle immediately pulls out a reserve quill.
She stamps out the room. Fucking stupid temple.
With a bit of patience and a bit of providence, even though she would rather avoid it, she will manage to get that bird and bring it back to us.
Well, our best chances is we'll work out any patterns in regards to it, and I'll have some watchers look for signs of them releasing birds and potential intercept points. It's probably going to take a day or two to work out a potential intercept point, but hopefully with the arrival of their main force, their news may soon increase. So our chances of intercepting will probably be better.
Actually, I was thinking she'd be able to catch one tonight. We know where the scouts are. Lightning has the ability to remain completely unseen. She could likely follow them close, and as soon as the bird is sent away, she snatches it up.
Well, she has to understand that she'll be far away from any possible assistance from anybody.
She knows the risks.
And if she can get close enough and watch, then as long as she can fly faster than a bird, then she's in for a chance.
I do think Lord Weasel could help.
Would Lord Weasel travel with her? Be an extra set of eyes and ears?
I look at Lord Weasel. Lord Weasel looks at me. What? Yeah, he can.
I could also give Lightning my quick runner shirt.
Does a quick runner shirt work when you fly?
I don't know. Depends on the wording.
Let me look it up again. It's been a hot moment since I used it.
Yeah, if it's just a flat movement speed increase, then I think it would.
Yeah, it depends.
I
Sometimes.
think I worked out. What are we going to change the ladder to?
You get an additional move action as an immediate turn.
Yeah, so it's a move action, so yeah, it would work.
There we go. As far as what we would change it to, I would trust that to Field Marshal Thunder. He knows the most about military, so he would know the best way to communicate in a way that would convince them what they're reading is the truth, but still be a lie.
Well, it depends, because if it's in a cipher, then it might be better than just not to receive the letter. Because if it's in a cipher and we don't know the correct cipher, they will spot it as a fake and know that we've intercepted one of their birds. So it's better for them.
Nighttime will probably be the best for determinate ciphers.
Yeah, well, getting it to begin with is probably the best thing we can do, and then we can work on whether we give them a fake one or we can just keep hold of it and they've lost some intel. It does mean, though, if we keep the bird alive, we can potentially at some point, once deciphered, just release the bird, and it will probably be trained to do certain things. And hopefully it will go back with a fake message and deliver it somewhere.
Do we have any blunt arrows?
They're easily made.
Yeah.
Like you can take the top off of an arrow and round the tip of the wood shaft, and that'll be aerodynamic enough to strike.
Yeah.
But it won't penetrate.
We can get plenty.
Yes,
Yeah, whenever, if you ever look up the sport of falconry, in combination with the falcon itself doing the hunting, you can also use either a crossbow or a bow and arrow, and they'll use blunt arrows to stun the bird, and then the falcon will snatch it up in midair. It's pretty cool.
Yes, I was actually thinking the same thing with Lightning, because she's our best shot, probably.
As far as deciphering the message, if it isn't a cipher, Nightshine would be fully capable of doing that.
Maybe Lord Weasel. He's also smart. He may be able to learn about it on the spot.
That would be incredibly helpful. And if all else fails, if we can't find a way to use the birds to our advantage, simply killing them and removing them from the enemy's use would be helpful.
Certainly. The Lord Duchess sort of goes, well, that's all fine and dandy, but how about I'm still more interested in this plan in trying to capture their man in charge. Is that even something which is going to be possible, or we're just going to let him walk in here, showing off, us all act all nice and friendly, and then send him on his way with nothing?
It's certainly possible, Duchess, but you could trigger the fight before we're ready to fight it. The whole idea is to buy time so that our soldiers can arrive, fully rested and ready to fight. If we trigger the battle before that happens, we'll be caught at a severe disadvantage.
She gives a scoff. Well, if we have to put up with his presence for a little while, I'm sure we can accommodate him. I'd rather take an advantage of this, but if we can't, then I suppose we can't.
Do your best to entertain him. You're nobles, you're good at throwing parties. Perhaps make him feel. Make him. Yeah.
And perhaps, Duchess, you can find the apron your grandmother made for you so you can bake him some cookies.
She just gives you a scowl at that.
Milk Thistle smiles at her and goes back to scribbling on his paper. It is beneficial to give an appearance of weakness. If they think we're unprepared, they will not be prepared for the full force that's coming their way.
I think whatever we do, they feel like they can take us on, so we don't need to be too worried about hiding our strength.
Yes, but if they think that they can walk over us and then we put up a fight.
But I mean, I don't think whatever we do, they will not think they will just walk over us by what we saw.
Well,
that's not to convince them otherwise just yet.
I know.
we can certainly hide our strength, make ourselves look like we've got nothing, depending on what entrance they come in from. We can clear the area of all civilians, all military personnel, so all they see is empty buildings potentially. So if he does come through on his simple hooves, then there won't be a crowd there to watch him.
Speaking of our civilians, I have an important question. Is it in our best interest to leave the civilians here who wish to stay in their homes and not fight? Or should there be a mass exodus and have the civilians sent away as refugees?
Lord Skystriker speaks up. There's nowhere nearby that they would be able to get to within a reasonable amount of time. And that's a lot of people we've got to try and give food to obviously make a journey. The map would be an option, but we won't have the resources to remove enough of the populace via the map.
Milk Thistle looks around. Is Steel here with us, or is he nearby?
He's not too far away.
Milk Thistle will call out to him. Steel, would you join us, please?
He will make his way over.
Milk Thistle will lean in close to kind of whisper this to him so nobody else hears. The Queen's Realm, the places that have the secret entrances, do you think that has enough room in it to take all of these civilians so that they can hide away safely? It would only be temporary until this war is over. And then he kind of, nods his head. It might not be so temporary, but it's not meant as a permanent solution.
It could. It should be able to take that sort of influx, but I don't know this. I'm pretty sure there won't be any food there, and I'm not sure what the water situation is there anymore as well.
We've been there before. Can we recall what the water situation is?
You never went looking for it. I think you found some fountains that were dried out, but that was really it. And you also had that one house that came alive and attacked Nightshine.
Yes, that's burned down now.
Yeah. We could have clerics create water to some degree.
Well, Milk Thistle asked this to Steel. As an emergency situation, would you have any objection to the civilians here using that realm for safekeeping?
It is not my realm to deny or grant permission.
Very well. Milk Thistle will speak up to the rest of the council. Council, I have a proposition. There is a place that is in a separate realm from the one that we are in. We have discovered multiple entrances to it. I do know that the map can take us to one of those entrances. There should be enough housing there to accommodate all of the civilians who are not members of the militia, the women, the children, those who are simply unwilling to fight. Any member of the militia should stay here with their weapons and be ready to fight to the death and kill as many as possible. To those who are unable or unwilling, the elderly, the young, and the women who look after the mares who look after them, we can send them to this realm. Now, as far as we know, there is shelter. It is safe from disease, safe from physical harm, a good temperature, but there's no food or water. If we send out a proclamation for these family members to gather up enough food and water for themselves and perhaps send a handful of trained clerics with them to at least make sure that they have enough fresh water, they should be safe there for the time being. That would greatly reduce our risk of the civilian population coming to harm.
But how do we get them there?
We use the map.
You have some ability with casting, and even then it's not that specific the place where you live. I mean, where you land.
The map requires you to know a command word for that location. If you don't have the command word, then you can't go there. Most of the command words of the major settlements are known, but out in the wilderness ones are, well, it's not guaranteed.
Milk Thistle pulls out the player map of Everglow that he has, and he opens it up next to Nightshine. Nightshine, where do we have a known location that is next to one of the entrances that we could teleport to?
Honestly, none.
Let's see. These orange dots that we made last week, those are the known locations of the entrances to the realm, correct?
Correct.
And they can be
Yeah.
used for other areas?
So Cerulean Tide would be the closest one to, or Galvin Dam.
Well, the one by Maymay's Reach would be the closest one. Cerulean Tides would be several weeks' journey.
Well, we're using the map, but there's an army between there, and it just seems a little too close for comfort.
What we could do is, tomorrow when we meet with them, we could negotiate for the safe passage of civilians and a few clerics. Let it be known that they will not be carrying any weapons of war with them, but they are simply going to be refugees leaving village or town. This would probably put their army at ease because now they no longer have to be careful about what they target. And we can have the ease of conscience knowing that our civilians are not being placed in danger. If they stay here, they are going to die, one way or another. We can only protect them so much.
The marshal speaks up. From a military point of view, it would be foolish to allow the civilians to leave. They are a drain on our resources that we have to keep safe, basically.
They're a drain on your resources, but are you suggesting it's beneficial to use them as a buffer?
No.
That the other people won't allow them to leave. That's the thing.
Yeah. If I was in his position, I wouldn't allow the civilians to leave.
Well, then let us negotiate their safe passage. If they are not willing to let them leave, then we can continue to negotiate in the best way that we can. This is simply another angle for us to buy more time.
Well, that's fine. I'm just indicating, as a military point of view, it wouldn't be what would be a wise decision militarily. But hey, you can argue the toss with them as much as you like. I won't get in the way of that.
Means how do we keep them fed?
They would need to bring what food they have. Um,
Duchess,
Rations, that's the word.
we've got
Yeah,
stores
they
of
would.
food. We've been stockpiling to a degree, so we can ration it out for them if we know how long they're going to be there for and they need to be sustained. It can be done, but we obviously need to make sure that there is enough food left behind for those who remain.
And we could also train the younger ones to hunt. At least use a bow and arrow to catch a deer. No. I was like, oh yeah, we're vegetarians. Never mind.
We're omnivores.
No, we're all omnivores. Okay.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, actually, horses in real life they're considered not spontaneous carnivores.
Omnivores.
They're omnivores, and if they have a chance to eat meat, they'll take advantage of it.
Okay, I know like meat is kind of like fast food for horses.
Yeah, they subsist on a mostly vegetarian diet, but they can eat squirrels and birds and stuff like that if they manage to catch them.
Mhm.
But yeah, the civilians would have to leave, and they would have to be able to sustain themselves. The clerics could produce enough water to provide for everyone, but that would be like a full-time job throughout the entire day.
Yeah.
What about the Forest of Dreams? I
Directly
know
south.
we've had contacts with the druids there. Perhaps they could take in some refugees.
In contact with a lot of animals that try to kill us, including one that killed Barry, I think was his name.
Yep.
Yes, but if we manage to let them know ahead of time, they could have a guide that will get them through without the animals attacking.
I think we have time for that.
All right. In the meantime, what we can do right now is negotiate the release of the refugees from the city, so that way they have a chance to escape and still live. If it's not accepted, we can just milk that for as long as we can. We need to buy Field Marshal Thunder at least 2 more days at the minimum.
The Lord Skystriker goes, am I preparing to try and convince people to leave the city now? Or are we keeping that quiet until we know it's been negotiated?
Make sure that they have rations enough for 3 days' travel saved up between all of their family members. If you
Yes,
ensure that when the time comes for them to leave the city, they'll be prepared.
but I suggest keeping that quiet in case we don't want to build up false hope.
Correct.
All right. I will. He looks. I'll work with the Duchess and ensure that we've got a supply of food set aside for that potential, that possibility.
Thank you, Counselor. And Milk Thistle will roll up his notes and put his pen away, and then reach over and grab the other pen that was knocked down to the floor. Was there anything else that needed to be discussed?
Are we doing the bird thing today?
Oh,
I, th-
the
I think we should. I think we should attempt it tonight. So Lightning will need to prep for that.
what I will mention is the general will go. You mentioned briefly about obviously absorbing us into the kingdom. If we are to,
Yes.
uh, if the council members are to try and keep the ruse going, perhaps you should give us more information about their plans in regards to that side of things.
King Lawrence intends to expand his empire. That's why his armies are here, is to have the force of the sword. One analogy to look at it as they hold a sword in one hand and an olive branch with the other. They're basically here to threaten us and bully us into submitting to them, and then they intend to set up a leader here as more or less of a puppet. There will be a representative of the human empire here to make sure that resources and taxes are paid and then sent back to work the human king. But for the most part, the average life of the ponies who live here will be normal. So long as we abide by their laws and pay our taxes, we'll be able to live normal lives. But it will be centralized. Only one representative would be allowed to rule with the permission of the king.
Oh, the Duchess goes, oh, don't they make it sound all nice and fluffy? Yeah. Then I'm sure things will change, and before we know it, we've lost whatever freedoms we've got.
Yes, what they say and what we've seen in Calistan do point that out.
Mm.
I'm not sure if it's just inner corruption with the people they've set up, or if they speak with honeyed words.
Well,
Well,
sorry.
in Caniston, the human officer explained that the King Jonathan Greaves was actually a member of their kingdom. He was not a member of Astalon, or no, this world is called Everglow. He's not a member of Everglow. He was indeed a member of their kingdom. Apparently, he was not paying the tribute necessary, and so the king took it as an opportunity to expand his empire, and that is why his city was razed to the ground, was as a punishment to this King Jonathan Greaves. Unfortunately, our people, the Fae, paid the price for that. And Turbs, on the other hand, they did show mercy to it, at least from their words. I could find no deceit in what they were saying. Turbs did not have a standing army. There was only a single sheriff, and so the 200 residents there were permitted to stay behind because they weren't seen as a threat. So, under the circumstances, it does seem that this army is being honorable in its intent.
Well, at least that's something going for him. Well, I think we have enough to stall if he arrives. But I don't. Well, I think we are at least going to be able to stall him for a while. That much is certain.
Is there any information from the spies you can share with us? Anything we can use?
Nothing. The Grand Master goes nothing at the moment, but they're going to rest, and we're going to have people talk to him more directly, and see if we can learn anything additional. But they were mostly blindfolded most of the time, and were kept away from the main forces, and they only heard obviously talking between troops. So we're only going to get an insight into what the low-ranking soldier are talking about, more than anything.
Understood. We have an operation to prepare for tonight, so we will be spending the rest of the evening with Lightning until she is ready.
I kind of wanted to try to convince those people not to throw their lives to protect the house.
Say that again, Nightshade.
I'll be helping, but I want to spend 1 hour trying to get those people out of the dangerous zone because they really like their home.
Oh, yes, of course. Do you need assistance, or do you think you can handle it?
I don't know.
Right. Burned, why don't you go with us? Alexandrite, you can come with us if you like, but I think you need to be with Lightning until we return.
Sure.
I'll stick with Lightning.
Alright. Help her get herself mentally prepared, consular, whatever she needs. Burnman and I will go with Nightshine.
Yep.
Yay.
All right.
So, without ceremony, we just leave the meeting because we are done.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I mean, that's pretty much where the meeting seems like it's coming to an actual end anyway. Well, it seems like stalling is where things are going.
Yep.
So I think, it's gone midnight. I've got work tomorrow, so we're gonna call the session an ending here. But everybody gains 1 hero point.
You! Because we didn't get everyone killed. That's what heroes do. This one does not keep track of hero points, so I'll just make a personal note.
I think I've given everybody who has hero points a item, which they can put in their bags, which is the hero point, and then they obviously drag it out and give it to me when they want to spend it. Let me find the object.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, I see them now. They're right here. I've actually burnt all 3 of mine during that fight, so I will delete 1 to represent the hero point you just awarded us. Thank you.
Yes, so you have a maximum of 3, so if you've already got 3, I'm afraid you don't gain any. But if you haven't got 1, if you haven't got 3, you gain an additional 1.
Yeah. No, I now have 2, so.
Right, so that would be under consumables, right?
I believe that's where it would be where you want to put it.
Mine's under miscellaneous.
As is mine, yeah, it's all the way down to the bottom of your inventory.
I could put one on the map as an item.
Yeah, I need to grab one as an item.
Here you go. It's if you move your character over to it, you should be able to pick it up.
Alright. Thank you.
Does anyone else need a hero point?
Me.
There you go, Lightning. Oh.
I think Lord Lethal needs hero points because he gets separate hero points from Nightshine.
Yeah,
I'm afraid it doesn't work like that.
but
And
he's so useful.
And it also turns out that Lord Weasel has been making some very wise investments in real estate in this area. And he's been buying up a lot of the houses because, a lot of the rich people are trying to move out because, there's a freaking army out here. Prices are dropping fast. And yeah, he's already selling them to the soldiers so that way they can live next to the area they're going to be fighting at. And he's racked in like 70 platinum coins, man. It's amazing. Yeah, Milk Thistle, Nightshine, we're talking about this with Lord Weasel like 2 hours before the session started, and Milk Thistle's considering investing the rest of his money in letting Lord Weasel broker it for him. There's no way this can go wrong.
Oh, here we go. Okay, there you go, Lightning. There's a hero point for you. Just need to pick it up. Was Lightning the only person who needed one?
One.
You got one. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Cool. I think that's everybody done. All right. So we will stop here for the evening, and tomorrow we will do obviously Lightning's great ninja mission.
Yeah, her bird heist with Lord Weasel.
Yes. We will see how that goes. I'm going to assume you want to do it at night rather than in the daytime.
It'd be nice.
Considering the lightning can see in the dark and is our master of stealth, so.
Yeah, for like 40 feet.
It's okay, it'll be all you need.
Yeah.
Honestly, it's probably easier to sneak into the camp to disguise myself as human because I have that key to let me.
What was it? Anthropomorphize, I think? No, that's a spell.
It's the double standard, so that if you
Yeah, you can disguise yourself as one of the scouts and just be like, "Hello, fellow scout."
Ooh, actually, here's what you could do. Kill the scout on the horseback, disguise yourself as him, don his armor and everything else, and then just wait for the bird to come to you. Score.
Do remember they said they were in groups of 10.
Yeah, so, I mean, that's kind of like if you're playing something like Hitman, where, hey, there's a guard right over there, there's, like, 3 over here. Just, kill the guard, drag his body into a dumpster, dress as him, there you go. But, again, this ain't Hitman.
Okay,
alright, Lane, I need you to throw this coin at this guard and distract him, well.
Alright, I've got an idea for that.
on the scout, they come up. Yeah.
Here's what we do. We go to the Temple of Kara, obviously not Lightning, but someone else. We go to the Temple of Kara, and we get some smutty magazines. And Lightning will carry those with her on her mission, and she'll scatter them out and pin them to the trees. So that way the scouts will have an exclamation point pulsing above their head and go, ooh. And while they're all distracted, she picks off one of them, dons his armor, and then starts kicking the rest of them in the boots. Hey, what are you doing? Get back to work. and then they continue on their way.
What we need is a cardboard box for lightning to hide in.
Yeah. Oh God,
It's the perfect plan.
yeah, it is. It's perfect, but at the same time, it's like, do we really want to try that?
Yeah. I mean, if Lightning, if you think all of these ideas are incredibly stupid, I probably won't argue with you. But this would be a great chance for you to show us your skills, like how you coordinate and use your character to her full
Can we
ability.
kill everyone in the temple car?
That would
No.
take an awful lot of work.
Yeah, and there's
Yeah,
a
but
good
we
chance
can do it.
the head priest of the Kara temple is much more powerful than the rest of us combined. Like me,
Yeah.
I would not want to mess with Midnight Vision.
Mhm.
No, that would just shoot up Steve prison at them.
Trying to eliminate one of the main religions in the Pony Empire would not be a good act.
That sounds like a thing where an inquisitor would get involved in.
I was
That's very evil.
I was chaotic evil once. I can do it again.
Yeah, but you don't need to be chaotic stupid.
What we need is one of them to kill lightning, and then Alexandrite goes all smite.
Then I'm afraid you'll probably get put down by the temple guards. Because you got to remember there is temple guards around.
Destroy the entire temple. Hey, bring me that fucking nuke.
I tell you what, Lightning, I know what you can do. I want you to visualize the face of every single Karan priest, every single one that knows your face, that's got you right on edge and all paranoid. When you come up to the scouts tonight, you put their faces on the head of every single scout and you take your rage out on every single one of them.
You want me to fucking 1v10 a goddamn scouting party?
No, it's 1v1, and then 1v1, and then 1v1. You
No,
pick
it's
them off.
1v10.
No, it's 1v1, and then you move on to the next one, 1v1, so on and so forth.
It's
Thanks.
not.
Have you never been a ninja in your entire life before?
I mean, have you ever played Dark Souls before? That's how you do it.
I'm not a ninja. I'm a fucking rogue.
They're the same class, just alternate versions.
No, they're not. They're actually different. I'm a ninja and I'm a type of fucking.
Yeah.
All right, well, here's
Lightning,
what I recommend.
you also only have
Okay.
adaptive changeling. That's not the one what allows you to disguise yourself as a human without negatives. It's that one allows you to disguise yourself as any pony without any negatives.
There's too many feats in Pathfinder, man.
Yeah.
First edition.
You can still attempt to disguise yourself
I
as a
want 'em
human,
all.
but you do take them on as 10.
I want them all, man.
I mean, don't get me wrong, I love Pathfinder First Edition. Like, it's always going to hold a place in my heart. But at the same time, I've gotten used to other systems.
Anyway, I'm going to bring the stream to an end, so if people want to say goodbye.
Oh, we're still turning. Okay. Auf Wiedersehen.
Goodbye.
Bye. Well, Ember, on a serious note, I actually am